Chapter 236. Layers of fine lightning accompanied the thunderclaps that seemed to be able to blast a hole in the sky and landed on the Mother of Bloodbath's body. The thunderclaps split the Mother of Bloodbath's body into a cloud of blood mist. Blood-red law runes could be faintly seen circulating in the blood mist. However, the Mother of Bloodbath was unable to transform into a human form. The bright red blood mist gradually weakened under the thunderclaps. Suddenly, the Mother of Bloodbath's voice rang in Lin Yuan's ears. "Lin Yuan, I can't hold on anymore. Run with all your strength." Lin Yuan pursed his lips and did not speak. At that moment, Lin Yuan unlocked the spirit qi imprint that he had accumulated for several months. The spiritual power in the spirit qi imprint was already very different from before. The spirit qi in the spirit qi imprint was constantly gathering by the bronze/epic dragon species bloodline spirit gather goldfish day and night. The amount of spirit qi in it had formed a sizable spirit qi torrent. The spirit qi torrent entered Lin Yuan's body and fluttered his white robe. Lin Yuan looked at the Mother of Bloodbath's constantly weakening blood-red mist and shouted, "Pure land of bliss!" White sand suddenly appeared in the yellow sand under the Mother of Bloodbath's feet. These white sand grains were filled with the smell of new life and purity. The white sand grains in the pure land of bliss glowed. These glowing lights unhurriedly melted into the Mother of Bloodbath's blood-red mist, which was constantly weakening under the thunderclaps and lightning. The Mother of Bloodbath, which had been struck into a blood mist, was anxious to use its last bit of energy to send Lin Yuan away. However, the moment the white sand's glowing light rushed into its body, the Mother of Bloodbath could clearly feel that its damaged and fragmented roots were constantly recovering. Damage to one's life source and serious injuries were two different things. Injuries could be healed, but the damage to one's roots could no longer be repaired. However, at that moment, the Mother of Bloodbath felt that its damaged roots were constantly recovering. The spirit qi torrent in Lin Yuan's spirit qi imprint was all transmitted into this pure land of bliss. Otherwise, given Morbius' current strength, the pure land of bliss effect would definitely not be able to heal a suzerain/myth I Fei like the Mother of Bloodbath and was close to myth 2. In fact, the pure land of bliss that he was using now could not completely restore the Mother of Bloodbath. However, there was a chance for the Mother of Bloodbath to break free from the world cleansing and transform into a human form. It could freely switch between human and beast forms and advance to myth 2. The pure land of bliss continuously healed the damaged roots in its body, allowing the Mother of Bloodbath to seize this opportunity. He fused the origin energy within his red mist into the law rune and continuously tempered the law rune. Finally, the red mist suddenly burst forth with a power that could topple mountains and overturn seas. A blood-red pillar of light filled with pressure rose up and directly struck the black hole in the sky, shattering it. Immediately afterward, a beam of soft light fell from the place where the black hole disappeared and shone on the Mother of Bloodbath's blood-red mist, allowing the Mother of Bloodbath's damaged life source to quickly recover. He had heard his master, the Moon Empress, talk about this gentle light that had suddenly descended from the sky. This was the world grace that Fays could obtain after experiencing the world cleansing. The moment this beam of world grace appeared, it meant that the Mother of Bloodbath had successfully advanced to myth 2. The red mist dissipated, and Lin Yuan saw a very bewitching but exceptionally beautiful woman appear in midair. She had red hair, red eyes, and even her eyelashes were red. Her red leather armor made her look very heroic. When Lin Yuan saw that the Mother of Bloodbath had transformed into a human form and successfully transcended the tribulation, he revealed a relieved smile. The spiritual power in Lin Yuan's body had actually been completely depleted a few minutes ago. He was only barely maintaining the pure land of bliss by relying on the spirit gather goldfish, Blackie, to continuously use spirit injection to recover his spiritual power. With a wave of his hand, Lin Yuan recalled all his phase back into his spiritual spatial zone. Then, he forced himself to squat in the yellow sand with a dusty face, looking a little wretched. Lin Yuan's body was stained with a lot of yellow sand, and even his hair was mixed with some yellow sand and rainwater, making him not look as handsome as usual. However, it seemed that in the mother of bloodbath's eyes, Lin Yuan still had that resolute look in his eyes. He was the youth who had saved its life from the hands of the world. The youth who had stood calmly in the wind and rain amidst the thunderous roar of 1,000 troops. The mother of bloodbath looked at the somewhat wretched Lin Yuan and suddenly felt that becoming this youth's path protector might have been the best decision it had made in the past 1,000 years. It was not only because Lin Yuan had helped it successfully survive the world cleansing, but also because of his friendship. The mother of bloodbath used to be most grateful to the Moon Empress, but for the rest of its life, Lin Yuan's name would be engraved in its life along with the Moon Empress's. The mother of bloodbath stepped on the void and walked to Lin Yuan's side, revealing a bright smile. Lin Yuan, thank you. When Lin Yuan heard the mother of bloodbath's strange and pleasant voice ringing in his ears, his heart was completely at ease. He smiled brightly, revealing a row of small white teeth. Mother of bloodbath, you've successfully reached myth 2. That's great. After saying that, Lin Yuan's consciousness relaxed, and he fainted. The overdraft of spiritual power would make it difficult for a person to even maintain standing. Lin Yuan's continuous overdraft of the spiritual power in his body had long reached the limit that his body could bear, and he was hanging on by a breath of essence, qi, and spirit. The mother of bloodbath looked at the fainted Lin Yuan and reached out to pick him up from the yellow sand. Looking at Lin Yuan, who had fainted but looked relieved, a drop of cold tear from the mother of bloodbath's red eyes fell on Lin Yuan's stray hair. The mother of bloodbath's bewitching and pleasant voice sounded faintly between heaven and earth. I, the mother of bloodbath, formed a path protector contract with Lin Yuan that day and became his path protector. Now that the path I protect has reached a level that I am satisfied with, I will use my life to protect the path in front of me. I swear by the law rune that if I violate the oath, the mother of bloodbath looked at the yellow soil under its feet and spat out 4 words. Become the yellow soil. When Lin Yuan woke up, he found himself lying in his room, and he touched his head. The long-term overdraft of spiritual power made Lin Yuan's head a little swollen and painful. He got off the ground, greeted Wen Yu and Wuxia, who were guarding his door, and quickly walked downstairs to the long corridor in front of his mansion. At that moment, the mother of bloodbath's strange and pleasant voice rang in Lin Yuan's ears again, just as usual. Lin Yuan was relieved and no longer disturbed the mother of bloodbath's perception of the changes in its body. Instead, he rubbed his stomach and walked into the house. Lin Yuan's greatest feeling at that moment was hunger. Wuxia's nutritious porridge had been simmering in the clay pot, waiting for Lin Yuan to wake up. Now that Lin Yuan was eating the hot nutritious porridge, he suddenly felt a sense of peace. Wuxia and Wen Yu were relieved when they saw that Lin Yuan was fine. Lin Yuan had been unconscious for an entire day, which had made them worry for the whole day. As Lin Yuan drank the porridge, he suddenly thought of someone and said to Wen Yu, Senior Hu Quan went back yesterday, right? Wen Yu, Senior Hu Quan went back yesterday, right? Young Master, Senior Hu Quan didn't leave yesterday. Young Master, Senior Hu Quan didn't leave yesterday. When Young Master came back, he saw that Young Master was unconscious, so he waited for Young Master for half a day. When Young Master still didn't wake up, he went back and said that he would visit Young Master tomorrow. Lin Yuan did not expect that Hu Quan would actually take his joke at that time seriously. However, it was definitely good news for Lin Yuan if Hu Quan, a Class 4 spirit craftsman, was willing to stay and work in the mansion. At that moment, Morbius' voice suddenly sounded in Lin Yuan's mind. Lin Yuan, after the mother of bloodbath reached myth 2, a trace of the world grace fell on the pure land of bliss. When you have time, enter the Spirit Lock spatial zone to take a look. After drinking Wuxia's nutritious porridge, Lin Yuan returned to his room and immediately entered the Spirit Lock spatial zone. After entering the Spirit Lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan was surprised to discover that there were actually 20 Spirit Chi crystals in the small bowl that Morbius had condensed with Spirit Chi. Lin Yuan almost choked on his saliva. This situation was simply like a pie falling from the sky. After catching the pie, he found that it was made of gold. With these 20 Spirit Chi crystals, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that he could raise any of his fantasy breed phase or source-type lifeforms to gold. Lin Yuan pondered. Should he let the Jasmine Lily, Chimey, or the Source Sand evolve into a gold/fantasy breed first? Read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 237. Lin Yuan carefully looked at the 20 Spirit Chi crystals in the small limestone bowl in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. They were half the size of a thumb, and he could not help but admire them. These Spirit Chi crystals, which were half the size of a thumb, appeared to have a very crystal-clear texture. There seemed to be an indistinct gas flowing inside, and when light shone on it, it would emit an indistinct rainbow color. If one did not look carefully, these 20 Spirit Chi crystals really looked like some irregular broken glass crystals. However, the value of the Spirit Chi crystals could not be compared to those irregular broken glass crystals. Lin Yuan looked at these 20 Spirit Chi crystals and smacked his lips. These 20 Spirit Chi crystals had not been formed when the Mother of Bloodbath had reached Myth 2, and that wisp of world grace had landed on Morbius' pure land of bliss. Instead, they had been formed according to Morbius' Spirit Chi condensation, which would take at least 140 days. The premise of these 140 days was that there was a sufficient supply of energy ores. These Spirit Chi crystals were enough for Lin Yuan to upgrade any of his 3 fantasy breed phase to Gold I/Fantasy I. After using these 20 Spirit Chi crystals, Lin Yuan's strength would immediately undergo a qualitative change. However, he still needed to carefully consider which of the Jasmine Lily, Chimey, or the Source Sand should be upgraded to Gold/Fantasy breed first. No matter which one he upgraded, it was destined to become Lin Yuan's trump card. Even Lin Yuan's combat style had to be tilted toward this Gold/Fantasy breed Fey or Source-type item to change. Especially after Lin Yuan knew that the Radiance 100 sequence's strength was not as simple as it appeared, he felt a sense of urgency. Since Lin Yuan had decided to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition this year, he naturally would not shrink back. Therefore, what Lin Yuan had to do was improve his strength as soon as possible. These 20 Spirit Chi crystals were enough for Lin Yuan to immediately obtain a trump card at this time. Lin Yuan thought that according to this situation, when he participated in the Radiance 100 sequence selection, it was very likely that he could upgrade the 2 fantasy breed phase to gold. He could even upgrade the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee from Gold I by a lot. Gold I/Fantasy breed phase already had Platinum combat power. Platinum combat power was the most basic strength standard to enter the Radiance 100 sequence. After some choices, Lin Yuan gave up on the Bronze X/Fantasy I Jasmine Lily. Increasing the Jasmine Lily's grade would only enhance Lin Yuan's healing ability. Healing-type Spirit Chi professionals might be very rare and sought after, but the Jasmine Lily's evolution into a Gold/Fantasy breed Fey would also greatly increase Lin Yuan's healing ability. However, this improvement in healing ability did not have any substantial help for him to participate in the Radiance Hundreds competition. Therefore, he had to make a choice between Chimey and the Source Sand. After thinking for a moment, he gave up the idea of upgrading Chimey from Silver I/Fantasy I to Gold I/Fantasy I. Although Chimey was currently Lin Yuan's strongest power and could instantly kill a Platinum Fey after becoming a Gold/Fantasy breed and activating the Radiant Body, Chimey was not as powerful as a Platinum Fey. However, although such an ability had high lethality, the margin of error was extremely low. If Chimey could not settle the battle during the time it used the Radiant Body, then Lin Yuan was likely to face defeat. Moreover, the Gold I/Legend Acid Corrosion Queen Bee had the same effect as Chimey to some extent. The acid corrosion Queen Bee and Chimey were both high-burst single-target damage units. After Chimey reached gold and became a gold/fantasy breed Fae, it would indeed produce a gold ability. However, this gold ability was not something that Lin Yuan could decide. Chimey was still only Silver Eye, and its combat system had not been completely determined. Gold, platinum, and even diamond abilities were still unknown to Chimey. Therefore, to Chimey, the advancement obtained by advancing in grade was a very uncertain factor. Although Chimey would only become stronger and stronger, Lin Yuan felt that the all-around source sand was more suitable for improving his overall strength. No matter how strong Chimey became, it would only strengthen its offense. Although the source sand's increase in offense was not even half of Chimey's, it focused more on defense and control. After fighting the first promotion duel with Cheng Hongfeng, he knew the importance of increasing his ability to protect himself in battle. After the second Celestial Stairway promotion duel with Poison Beauty, Lin Fan's expression changed drastically. Lin Yuan, on the other hand, viewed self-protection as more important. He even felt that self-protection was the top priority for Spirit Chi professionals. If Poison Beauty had the ability to protect herself back then, she would have been able to survive Chimey's killing blow. In that case, it would be impossible for him to defeat Poison Beauty. Although the source sand was comprehensive, it was only a Bronze X/Fantasy I source-type life form. Although he had great potential, he was still too weak in terms of strength. However, what he needed to do now was to enhance the source-type source sand's grade. It allowed the source sand to advance from Bronze X/Fantasy I to Gold I/Fantasy I. Since he had made up his mind, he no longer hesitated. He picked up the small limestone bowl and turned the amber-colored crystal button-shaped source sand that had been hanging on his sleeve into a pile of yellow sand. Then, he picked up a Spirit Chi crystal and threw it into the pile of yellow sand. The yellow sand immediately formed a high-speed yellow sand vortex with the Spirit Chi crystal as the center, quickly absorbing the energy in the Spirit Chi crystal. The source sand was the most special existence among all of Lin Yuan's contracted phase and source-type lifeforms. No matter how high the source sand's grade increased, it would not have any additional abilities or exclusive skills. Therefore, Lin Yuan estimated that after the source sand reached gold, it should enhance its existing exclusive skills. Soon, the huge energy in the Spirit Chi crystal was absorbed by the Bronze X/Fantasy I source sand. The source sand's grade had also increased from Bronze X/Fantasy I to Silver I/Fantasy I. The source sand, which had once again turned into an amber-colored button, did not have any obvious changes compared to its previous appearance. Instead, it became more reserved and less noticeable. At that moment, after Lin Yuan's source-type source sand upgraded from Bronze X/Fantasy I to Silver I/Fantasy I, he immediately sensed that the reserved amber button-shaped source sand was trembling slightly. Moreover, it cautiously and intimately transmitted an extremely vague spiritual request to him. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 238. Everything had a spirit, and it was the same for the elemental source-type source sand. However, the Silver/Fantasy source sand's intelligence was so weak that it was like a baby that had yet to be born. When Lin Yuan sensed the source sand's spiritual request, he could not help but nod. It was exactly as he had guessed. After the source sand's grade increased, it would indeed increase the exclusive skills that it possessed. The source sand's spiritual request was asking him which exclusive skill he wanted to enhance. The source sand's three exclusive skills were Sand Control, Metal Consume Manifestation, and Gravel Spirit Acceptance. Sand Control was an exclusive skill that the source sand had automatically comprehended when it reached bronze, and it could not be enhanced again. Therefore, it could only enhance Metal Consume Manifestation and Gravel Spirit Acceptance. Gravel Spirit Acceptance and Metal Consume Manifestation were exclusive skills that the Source Sand had comprehended from the 2 willpower runes when it had metamorphosed into a fantasy breed. Lin Yuan sensed the enhancement methods of Metal Consume Manifestation and Gravel Spirit Acceptance and pondered. If he chose to enhance Metal Consume Manifestation, he could choose to devour one more type of metal spiritual ingredient or change into one more form. If he enhanced Gravel Spirit Acceptance, he could devour one more type of Fey or dimensional life form. This way, the Source Sand's exclusive skill, Gravel Spirit Acceptance, could devour 2 types of Feys or dimensional life forms instead of one. Be it Metal Consume Manifestation or Gravel Spirit Acceptance, the Source Sand's carrying capacity was determined by its grade. After enhancing, there was no improvement at all. What was added was just a variety of changes. However, Lin Yuan was secretly alarmed. This additional change was equivalent to raising the Source Sand's strength by a notch from its original foundation. However, Lin Yuan did not make a choice immediately. Instead, he continued to let the Source Sand, which had reached Silver Eye/Fantasy Eye, turn into Yellow Sand again. He continuously threw the Spirit Chi crystals in his hands into the yellow sand that the Source Sand had turned into, allowing the Source Sand to absorb them. After spending a total of 9 pills, the Source Sand's level rose from Silver Eye/Fantasy Eye to Silver X/Fantasy Eye. Lin Yuan took a deep breath and continued to throw the Spirit Chi crystals one by one into the yellow sand until he was done with the remaining 10 crystals. The pile of yellow sand on the ground suddenly began to boil, and the yellow sand began to emit an amber luster. Wisps of yellow sand rose into the air and finally converged into an amber crystal button. Upon seeing the gold/fantasy Source Sand, Lin Yuan could not help but clench his fists. This was because after the Source Sand reached Gold Eye/Fantasy Eye, his strength was no longer stuck at the T2 level of the younger generation like before. He had truly reached the T1 level of the younger generation, which was the strength of the Radiance 100 sequence. At this level of strength, he had to hone his combat skills even more. This was because a battle between experts was often a fierce one. Victory or defeat was decided by a single move or timing. If you are one step ahead, you will win. If you are one step behind, you will lose. At this moment, the Gold/Fantasy Source Sand's appearance had changed again from the Silver/Fantasy Source Sand. At Gold, the Source Sand might still be as simple and unadorned as it was at Silver, but there was an additional mark on its amber button-like appearance. When Lin Yuan took a closer look at the mark, he couldn't help but smile. This was because this mark was a combination of the chain sword and the heart-penetrating iron line. The dissected patterns on this mark were a little like ferromanganese patterns. It was as though a silk thread wrapped around a chain sword and was sealed in a small amber button, giving off an indescribable warm texture. Lin Yuan calmed down and gave instructions to the Source Sand, which was clearly a little clearer than before. When the Source Sand had just evolved from silver to gold, Lin Yuan had already chosen the enhancement direction for the Source Sand's exclusive skill. If he enhanced the Gravel Spirit Acceptance, it would simply increase the diversity of the Source Sand's Spirit Acceptance lifeforms and enhance its groupability. If Lin Yuan only had this Source-type lifeform and no other phase, he would not hesitate to enhance the Gravel Spirit Acceptance. However, he had Red Thorn, which had a complete advantage in terms of group. In addition, the Source Sand had a certain attack ability in the group aspect. Compared to letting the Gravel Spirit Acceptance accept 2 kinds of phase, Lin Yuan was willing to accept only one kind of dimensional life form, the heart-penetrating iron line. Lin Yuan rummaged in his leaf-shaped phase storage box and found that there were still nearly 300 heart-penetrating iron line in it. Most of these 300 heart-penetrating iron line were at gold. However, there were also a dozen of them that had increased their strength from Class 3 alien insects to Class 4 alien insects, which was equivalent to a Platinum Fey. Lin Yuan let the Gold Eye/Fantasy Eye Source Sand spit out the Gravel Spirit Acceptance's heart-penetrating iron line. Then, Lin Yuan tried to let the source sand use the gravel spirit acceptance on a heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a platinum I/elite Fey. As a gold/fantasy breed source-type life form, the source sand easily devoured the heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a platinum I/elite Fey. Obviously, this platinum I/elite heart-penetrating iron line was far from the source sand's gravel spirit acceptance limit. After some experiments, the gold/fantasy breed source sand's gravel spirit acceptance finally gave the heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a platinum 3/flawless Fey. This heart-penetrating iron line, which was equivalent to a platinum 3/flawless Fey, had reached the limit that the source sand's exclusive skill, gravel spirit acceptance, could withstand. When the source sand was at bronze X/fantasy I, it could accept a heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a gold Fey. Therefore, Lin Yuan was not surprised that the source sand could accept a heart-penetrating iron line that was equivalent to a platinum 3/flawless Fey when it was at gold I/fantasy I. The heart-penetrating iron line hidden in the source sand's exclusive skill was Lin Yuan's hidden trump card. It could give the enemy a fatal blow when they least expected it. After dealing with the gravel spirit acceptance, which Lin Yuan did not choose to upgrade for the source sand, he chose to enhance the source sand's second exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation. Lin Yuan promoted the source sand to silver and gold for 2 opportunities to upgrade its exclusive skills. One was to increase the metal consume manifestation's transformation form, and the other was to increase the type of metal that the metal consume manifestation could contain. In other words, the gold I/fantasy I source sand's metal consume manifestation could now devour 2 types of metal. It could also remember the 2 types of metal that could be transformed. Baituan read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 239. Previously, Lin Yuan had chosen the source sand's metal consume manifestation as the first form of the chain sword. This was because the chain sword was a form that excelled in both offense and defense. However, this time, Lin Yuan had chosen to enhance his self-defense ability. There were only 2 ways to enhance his self-defense ability. One was to enhance his resistance, while the other was to enhance his speed and dodging ability. Whether it was resistance or dodging ability, it was a very good choice to enhance his defense ability. However, Lin Yuan was already a mature person, so he wanted all of them. Previously, the source sand had only been a bronze X/fantasy I source-type life form. Therefore, Lin Yuan had chosen ferromanganese, which was very sturdy and sharp, and its metal characteristics could be used with the chain sword to damage targets. Now that the source sand strength had reached the standard of a gold/fantasy breed, Lin Yuan still did not intend to change his choice of ferromanganese. The lower the grade of the metal, the more the source sand could devour. Therefore, Lin Yuan intended to let the source sand devour a large amount of ferromanganese when choosing one of the 2 metals. As for the choice of another metal, he planned to choose a gold metal. The price of all metals in this world was determined by weight. However, there was one exception, and it was the day and night spirit silver. The day and night spirit silver had almost no weight, so its price was often dependent on its volume. The day and night spirit silver's original appearance was a kind of extremely black metal. The day and night spirit silver's extreme black color was so black that it seemed as though it could absorb all the light around it. However, after the day and night spirit silver conducted spirit chi, it would turn into an extreme white color. This white color was like suet jade. Although it would not emit light, it would give people the illusion that the day and night spirit silver could emit light after being connected with spirit chi. This was also how the day and night spirit silver got its name. The black day and night spirit silver only had one metal characteristic: sharpness. As a gold metal, a thin piece of the day and night spirit silver could even cut other gold metals. This did not rely on the strength of the slash, but on the day and night spirit silver's own sharpness. However, When the day and night spirit silver was infused with spirit qi and turned white, it would become very elastic. The heavy strike landed on the day and night spirit silver, which was infused with spirit qi. The day and night spirit silver was able to quickly transmit the attack into the surrounding air. The white day and night spirit silver only had one special property, and that was shock absorption. Due to the day and night spirit silver's shock-absorbing and buffering properties, the day and night spirit silver became a metal with extremely powerful defensive properties. He planned to let his source-type source sand devour the day and night spirit silver for it to devour. After exiting the Spirit Lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan logged into the Star Web as a creation master. Lin Yuan went straight to the Star Web's rare life form pavilion to inquire about the ferromanganese and day and night spirit silver. In the end, he found quite a lot of information on ferromanganese, but there was only one piece of information on the day and night spirit silver in the rare life form pavilion. 10 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver were put up for auction in the rare life form pavilion, and the price had been raised to 20 million radiance dollars. He did not feel that the day and night spirit silver's price was too high. On the contrary, 20 million radiance dollars were not enough to buy 10 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver. In fact, Lin Yuan did not need so much day and night spirit silver. He only needed 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver, and he planned to let the source sand devour more ferromanganese. The day and night spirit silver was simply too rare, and Lin Yuan did not have any connections. He did not wish to trouble his master, the Moon Empress, for everything. Therefore, Lin Yuan sent a private message to the seller of the day and night spirit silver in the rare life form pavilion. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, boss, I would like to buy 1 cubic meter of the day and night spirit silver that you put up in the Star Web's rare life form pavilion. I can offer 5 million radiance dollars. After sending the message, Lin Yuan continued to buy ferromanganese wantonly in the rare life form pavilion. There was no shortage of ferromanganese in the Star Web's rare life form pavilion, but many sellers were selling it at 5,000 caddies per stack. It was a huge burden for those who did not have a large demand for ferromanganese. However, this was exactly what Lin Yuan wanted. After buying wantonly, Lin Yuan bought close to 100,000 caddies of ferromanganese. Lin Yuan could not guarantee how much ferromanganese the gold /fantasy eye source sand could devour, but after the source sand devoured 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver, it would definitely have enough for 100,000 caddies of bronze ferromanganese. After buying the ferromanganese, Lin Yuan realized that the seller he had just sent a private message to replied. Moneymaker, 5 million radiance dollars is too low. I'm not selling, nose-picking emoji. Lin Yuan looked at the seller's message and frowned. Even if this 10 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver was sold at the end of the auction 10 days later, it would not exceed 48 million radiance dollars. Therefore, Lin Yuan was already showing full sincerity by offering 5 million radiance dollars to buy 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver. Moreover, the other party's attitude and nose-picking emoji made Lin Yuan feel that the other party was not sincere in the transaction. However, Lin Yuan still sent the message patiently. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, 5 million radiance dollars for 1 cubic meter of gold day and night spirit silver. What do you think, boss? Moneymaker, give me 6 million radiance dollars, and I'll consider selling it to you. Lin Yuan looked at Moneymaker's message and closed the chat window. Although Lin Yuan was not short of money now, he did not want to waste it casually like an idiot. If Lin Yuan really wanted to get the day and night spirit silver, it was not like he could not get it. Why should he let the other party cheat him with such an attitude? Lin Yuan returned to his Fei store and posted a request for items in the store. In fact, rather than saying that Lin Yuan posted a request for items, it was better to say that it was an exchange message. Lin Yuan's message was, use a specified bronze/epic Fei to exchange for 1 cubic meter of the spiritual ingredient day and night spirit silver and 2 source-type items. After Lin Yuan posted the message, he did not immediately go offline. Instead, he went to the Rare Life Form Pavilion to buy some spiritual ingredients that were not available in Zhou Jiesen's store and that he needed. As a result, Lin Yuan had just started to rummage through the Rare Life Form Pavilion when his Star Web account as a creation master exploded. Lin Yuan opened it to take a look, and countless messages poured in. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 240. Lin Yuan clicked on the automatic filtering function of Star Web's messages and filtered and sorted the buyers who wanted to buy from him. Star Web filtered messages based on the content of the message. In other words, the messages sent by these buyers contain the verification of 2 source-type lifeforms and 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver. Lin Yuan found that among the messages that Star Web was helping him to filter, there was actually a seller who wanted to buy the day and night spirit silver, lucky and prosperous. Lin Yuan clicked on the message and saw that Lucky and Prosperous had sent 2 relatively unorthodox source-type lifeforms and 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver, as well as a message that made Lin Yuan raise his brows. Lucky and Prosperous, boss, I was busy just now, so I was slow when I sent the message. Also, this young master is my catchphrase. Don't mind it. Lin Yuan was not a fool, so he could naturally understand the meaning of other people's words. If this young master was really a catchphrase, why would Lucky and Prosperous waste the effort to explain now? Lin Yuan replied. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, give me 2 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver and 3 source-type lifeforms, and I'll sell them to you. Then, Lin Yuan closed Lucky and Prosperous' message. Instead, he chose among these people who had sent source-type lifeforms and chose a buyer who had sent 2 source-type lifeforms that was not too unorthodox. These source-type lifeforms could not be used by Lin Yuan, and they were also of no use to the people around him. However, source-type lifeforms were wealth that would never depreciate. Therefore, storing some source-type lifeforms was equivalent to enriching his material reserves. In the end, Lin Yuan finalized a deal with a buyer named Listen. Listen had chosen a bronze/epic power offense-type K9 Fei in the transaction. It was not considered a skill to be able to easily take out the day and night spirit silver. However, it was a great skill to be able to take out 2 source-type lifeforms at will. Such a person was either a king stage or above, or a core member of a rich and powerful family. However, the messages sent by these people were all very polite and even had a sense of flattery. The buyer, Listen, who had just reached a deal with Lin Yuan, tried every possible way to ask for Lin Yuan's friend position. There was no risk of being cheated when trading on Star Web. Since a deal had been reached and an order had been signed, if either party broke the contract, they would have to bear a large sum of liquidated damages. At the same time, if the other party violated the terms of the transaction, Star Web would contact the relevant departments to pursue the matter. If the circumstances were serious, not only would they be severely punished in reality, but they would also be disqualified from logging into Star Web. Therefore, Listen, who had just completed the transaction with Lin Yuan, mailed the 1 cubic meter of gold day and night spirit silver and the 2 source-type items to him first. All this behavior is like a licking dog. Listen's behavior was nothing more than to gain Lin Yuan's favorable impression so that there might be a chance to trade again. As Lin Yuan's purchase with No Loss store sent out this news, Lin Yuan store's reputation completely resounded on Star Web. Previously, his purchase with No Loss store had relied on selling high-demand Feis like the bronze usnias and the elite spirit gather goldfish to garner a lot of attention. However, this level of attention only involved low-ranked spirit chi professionals. Even after his purchase with No Loss store sold silver usnias, its reputation and popularity had exploded. However, he wasn't particularly famous on Star Web. This was because Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store had always been unable to enter the eyes of experts. But now, as soon as Lin Yuan sent out the news of the exchange, it immediately attracted the attention of countless experts. If there was anything in this world that was hard to come by for spirit chi professionals, it would definitely be a high-quality bronze fei. Lin Yuan's exchange news did not give a specific epic fei for exchange. Instead, the buyer could choose any type of epic fei. Such heroism was enough to show the power behind the purchase with no loss store, which was still a one-star web store. Among them, the most shocked was Zhou Jiasun. After Zhou Jiasun heard this news, she was lost for a long time. She had always thought that Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store had the support of a Class 3 Creation Master. But now, it seemed that there was at least a Class 4 Creation Master behind it, and it might even be a pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master. Lin Yuan logged off Star Web and received a large batch of bronze ferromanganese that he had purchased on Star Web in less than 2 hours. He also received 1 cubic meter of the day and night spirit silver and 2 source-type items that Listen had mailed in advance after the transaction. Lin Yuan did not carefully examine these 2 source-type items. He just stored them in his leaf-shaped diamond fei storage box as resources. Then, he took the 100,000 caddies of ferromanganese in 5 silver fei storage boxes and 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver in 1 gold fei storage box and entered the spirit lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan fed this cubic meter of day and night spirit silver to the gold /fantasy source sand. He let the source sand devour the day and night spirit silver. After devouring the day and night spirit silver, the source sand's characteristics did not seem to change as much as when it had devoured the ferromanganese. However, in essence, the gravel formed by the source sand had become lighter and stronger. Although such a change did not seem obvious, it was undoubtedly a very significant improvement for the entire sea of sand. Such an improvement directly increased the flexibility of the gravel in the sea of sand, allowing it to move faster in battle. After the source sand devoured this cubic meter of day and night spirit silver, Lin Yuan started to feed it a large amount of ferromanganese with its exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation. The source sand only stopped after eating 170,000 caddies of the 100,000 caddies of ferromanganese. At this point, the gold /fantasy source sand's Metal Consume Spirit Acceptance exclusive skill had reached its limit. How many chain swords could be formed from such a huge amount of ferromanganese? How many changes would the chain swords combination have? Previously, the chain swords combination could form a cage and lock the target in it. Now, the chain swords combination would have more variety of changes according to Lin Yuan's combat style. What Lin Yuan had done just now was to let the source sand reach saturation with its exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation. However, Lin Yuan's next priority was to let the source sand transform the day and night spirit silver into a shape. After Lin Yuan transmitted the shape in his mind to the source sand. Soon, the source sand spawned a piece of light and exquisite jet black feather composed entirely of day and night spirit silver. Then, thousands of feathers that were the same as this feather were spawned in the source sand. Then, they assembled on Lin Yuan's back. Lin Yuan controlled the source sand's 2 pairs of wings, which were so black that they seemed to be able to absorb light, and gently flapped them. As they flapped, hundreds of jet black feathers formed from day and night spirit silver fell from the 4 wings. Then, they cycled back to the 4 black wings. At that moment, in the spirit lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan seemed to have turned into a dark angel with 4 wings that could absorb light. Read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 241. Lin Yuan looked at his current state and involuntarily took a deep breath. Then, Lin Yuan controlled the day and night spirit silver to form the 4 wings, which were made of thousands of feathers, and flapped them vigorously. As the four wings flapped, Lin Yuan's feet left the ground and floated into the air. While floating in the air, Lin Yuan tried to swing out the black feathers that formed his wings. The feather formed by the day and night spirit silver did not have much weight, but it was abnormally tough. It was like a black lightning bolt that could devour light. It shot toward the target that Lin Yuan had set in his heart. When the black day and night spirit silver landed on the source sand's yellow sand, it immediately disappeared without a trace and fused into the yellow sand. Then, the feather that had fused into the yellow sand would come out again, forming a perfect cycle. After Lin Yuan tested the attack speed of the day and night spirit silver's feathers, he took out a piece of tough ferromanganese from the gold face storage box. Lin Yuan threw the ferromanganese into the distance with force. Following that, 5 black feathers transformed into lightning bolts and directly pierced through the ferromanganese, leaving 5 inconspicuous cracks on the ferromanganese. Lin Yuan nodded silently. The day and night spirit silver's black feathers might not be able to easily break through a platinum phase defense. However, a gold defense-type Fey would definitely not be able to withstand the damage caused by the day and night spirit silver's black feathers. The Source Sand's second exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation, actually did not consume much spiritual power in Lin Yuan's body. At the same time, the Source Sand's first exclusive skill, Sand Control, reduced the already minimal spiritual power consumption once again. This meant that if Lin Yuan did not inject spirit chi into the 4 black wings formed by the day and night spirit silver to resist the damage, the Source Sand's Metal Consume Manifestation would not consume much spiritual power. The 4 black wings formed by the Source Sand's Metal Consume Manifestation would not consume much spiritual power for Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan chose to let the day and night spirit silver transform into the shape of feathers to form the 4 wings. On one hand, he wanted to increase his defense. On the other hand, due to the day and night spirit silver's extremely light metal characteristics, the airflow created by the flapping of the wings was enough for Lin Yuan to fly. As a spirit chi professional, only S-rank spirit chi professionals could stand in the void and walk in the sky. Although Lin Yuan was still a C-rank spirit chi professional, he already had the ability to fly. Flying would allow him to be more agile in battle, and he could even fly in the air to avoid damage from the ground. To a certain extent, this kind of sensitivity was actually more effective than enhancing one's defense. He then tried to inject spiritual power into the 4 black wings formed by the day and night spirit silver. The moment Lin Yuan injected his spiritual power, the black wings instantly turned white as though they were emitting a sparkling white light. If the 4 jet black wings from before were said to be mysterious and dark. Now, after the 4 wings turned white, the 2 pairs of white wings carried an indescribable brightness and firmness. This contradictory feeling caused Lin Yuan's entire temperament to undergo 2 extreme changes. Under Lin Yuan's command, the 4 pure white wings suddenly extended and folded forward, completely protecting him and forming the strongest defense. Since Lin Yuan's 4 wings were originally formed by the day and night spirit silver's feathers, the metal characteristics instantly changed. Especially when Lin Yuan injected spiritual power into the day and night spirit silver's wings, the moment the day and night spirit silver came into contact with spiritual power, the metal characteristics instantly changed. After the day and night spirit silver came into contact with spiritual power, the day and night spirit silver's texture softened, allowing the 4 white wings to become extremely malleable. The 4 wings stretched out and overlapped, forming a cross that protected Lin Yuan within. This was Lin Yuan's strongest defense at present. However, the wings that Lin Yuan had transformed into were not perfect yet. This was because the current wings and feathers were only rough models. If Lin Yuan wanted to enhance the strength of the 4 wings formed by the feathers, he would need to carve patterns on each feather to have a certain shock-absorbing effect. At the same time, the edges of the feathers had to become sharper. This required the source sand to sleep for a period of time. Just like last time, it would deepen its memory of the Metal Consume Manifestation's exclusive skill according to Lin Yuan's request. Lin Yuan looked at the Source Sand's exclusive skill and felt that obtaining this amber button-shaped Source-type life form had been the right decision. Fey name, Source Sand, Amber Button, Fey species, Elemental/Sand, Fey grade, Gold Eye, Fey type, Source, Fey quality, Fantasy Eye exclusive skill Frowny Face Sand control, increases the contractor's control over the Source Sand and reduces the consumption of spiritual power when controlling the Source Sand. Metal Consume Manifestation, can devour 2 types of metal into the Source Sand, allowing it to have a portion of the metal-devouring characteristics. At the same time, it can quickly condense the metal in the gravel and turn it into a specified form. Ferromanganese Chain Sword, Day and Night Spirit Silver Feather, Gravel Spirit Acceptance, the Source Sand can devour a Fey or dimensional life form. The amount of devouring depends on the lifeform's energy and the complexity of the template. Class 4 Alien Insect, Heart-Penetrating Iron Line. Its strength is equivalent to a Platinum 3/Flawless Fey. Although the Source-type lifeform Source Sand did not have any abilities, under Lin Yuan's nurturing, the Source Sand's combat ability was already not inferior to other Feys or Source-type lifeforms. It was even stronger. After Lin Yuan exited the Spirit Lock spatial zone, he stretched. In the following period of time, Lin Yuan no longer needed to enhance his Fey's grade. He still had some things to do, and after he was done, he could go out to train. He could only return on the eve of the Radiance 100 sequence selection. Lin Yuan was able to complete the enhancement of the Source Sand's exclusive skill so quickly after becoming a gold/fantasy breed thanks to the buyer named Listen on Star Web. Although Lin Yuan and Listen had a deal. Under normal circumstances, Listen did not need to send this cubic meter of gold Day and Night Spirit Silver and 2 Source-type lifeforms to Lin Yuan first. Lin Yuan also remembered this favor in his heart. Lin Yuan logged into his Star Web account and was about to ask if there were any specific breed requirements for the power offense-type K9 Fey that Listen needed. Anyway, Lin Yuan could enhance any kind of bronze/epic Fey in the Spirit Lock spatial zone for just over an hour. Since Listen had made things convenient for him, Lin Yuan thought that he might as well make things convenient for him. Listen wanted to exchange for a bronze/epic Fey, so it should be because he or someone around him had comprehended a willpower rune. Therefore, Lin Yuan was giving Listen a chance to let his willpower rune fit with a bronze/epic Fey. The bronze/epic Fey that Listen had specified was a power offense type K9 Fey. K9 Feys were a huge category. Dogs, wolves, jackals, and foxes were all K9 Feys. If Lin Yuan casually chose a power offense type K9 Fey for Listen, the range of choices would be too wide. However, just as Lin Yuan was about to send a message to Listen, he found that Listen had actually left 2 messages for him after he logged off Star Web. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 242. Lin Yuan raised his brows when he saw the 2 messages from Listen. Listen, Master, if you have another bronze/epic Fey in the future, can you give me a chance to trade first? I won't let you suffer a loss. Listen, Master, I've mailed 1 square meter of Day and Night Spirit Silver to your previous address. He. Lin Yuan suddenly felt that Listen did not have to be so attentive to him. Or were all creation masters treated like this? This was the first time in Lin Yuan's life that he had received a bribe. However, this 1 cubic meter of Day and Night Spirit Silver was not so much a bribe as a fawning. Lin Yuan sent a message to Listen. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, there are a total of 13 genera and 36 species of power offense type K9 Feys, including dogs, wolves, jackals, foxes, and so on. The range is very large. After Lin Yuan sent a message to Listen, he saw that Listen was currently on Star Web, so he waited for his reply. In less than 3 seconds after Lin Yuan sent the message, Listen replied. Listen, wow, expert. Are you trying to let me choose a dog species Fei by myself by sending this message? Deep Mountain Elder Lin, yes. Lin Yuan had made it convenient for Listen because Listen had made it convenient for him. This had nothing to do with the 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver that Listen had sent. However, Lin Yuan would not refuse this 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver. The price of 1 cubic meter of day and night spirit silver was at most 5 million radiance dollars. However, if the value of this opportunity that Lin Yuan had given Listen was calculated, it was equivalent to priceless. After Lin Yuan sent this yes, he watched as Listen sent dozens of storm praises. This made Lin Yuan wonder if this buyer called Listen had just secretly drunk 1 kilogram of honey. In the end, Listen chose a very unorthodox fox Fei that focused on spiritual attacks. This kind of fox Fei that focused on spiritual attacks was not considered rare. However, this kind of fox Fei that focused on spiritual attacks had a variety of evolutionary directions. This kind of fox Fei that focused on spiritual attacks evolved into bronze, and it was really not certain which direction it would evolve in. However, no matter how this fox Fei that focused on spiritual attacks evolved, it would always be able to meet Listen's requirements. At the same time, Lin Yuan could not help but feel that if he had not given Listen a convenience, it was almost impossible for Listen to want to find such an unorthodox bronze/epic Fei to match the Fei's willpower rune. After Listen finalized his choice of Fei, Lin Yuan bought an elite illusory fox from the Rare Life Form Pavilion. The illusion fox was already an elite Fei when it was still a cub, and there was no normal Fei. After obtaining the elite phantom fox, he enhanced it in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. When this illusory fox evolved to bronze/epic, its name was changed to Pain Illusory Fox under True Data. The illusory fox's ability was to control the 5 senses, while the Pain Illusory Fox's ability was an evolution of the illusory fox after leveling up. The Pain Illusory Fox cast a skill on the target, causing the target to enter a state of pain. Depending on the skill, this kind of pain would affect the body and mind. It was an extremely powerful attack. When this bronze/epic Pain Illusory Fox had been promoted to bronze, Lin Yuan had chosen the mind vulnerability from the 3 exclusive skills that had been produced. The exclusive skill, Spirit Vulnerability, allowed the Pain Illusory Fox to inflict more pain on the target's spirit when it released its abilities. It was an exclusive skill that could greatly enhance the Pain Illusory Fox's attack ability. The Mind Vulnerability was also the best choice among the 3 exclusive skills that this Pain Illusory Fox had obtained at bronze. Lin Yuan had always maintained his original intention in doing business, so he had enhanced the Illusory Fox to Elite/Epic before promoting it to bronze. It had been promoted from Elite to Epic, which gave the Illusory Fox more choices in terms of exclusive skills. Although no one knew about Lin Yuan's hard work, he had at least lived up to his conscience and had a clear conscience. Since Lin Yuan had already posted in his purchase with no loss Fei store that he could trade with a bronze/epic Fei of his choice, he did not intend to let his store keep a low profile. Since he wanted to pursue a high profile, he would carry it out to the end. Lin Yuan simply mailed the bronze/epic Pain Illusory Fox to Listen. After Listen received the goods, Star Web confirmed that Lin Yuan could trade with any bronze/epic Fei. After Listen received the goods, the news that Lin Yuan had posted in the purchase with no loss store could trade with any species of bronze/epic Feis was confirmed by Star Web. Previously, many experts had not been able to get the opportunity to trade with Lin Yuan, so they had been in a wait-and-see state. Now that they saw that Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store had reached a deal so quickly, they could not help but be secretly shocked at its power. These experts and members of the wealthy families hurriedly paid attention to Lin Yuan's purchase with no loss store. If it had been a group of ordinary merchants waiting for silver usnias and elite spirit siphon goldfish, then Lin Yuan's purchase with no-loss store now had a large number of members of the wealthy families and king-class experts and above. Now, there were a large number of members of wealthy families and king-class and above experts squatting in the purchase with no-loss store. Many people even started to inquire about Lin Yuan's purchase with no-loss store. However, no matter how they inquired, they could only find out that the owner was a young man. As for other information, the moment Lin Yuan became the Moon Empress disciple, the Moon Empress had blocked it, and no one could check it. Lin Yuan did not expect that after Listen received the bronze/epic pain illusory fox that he had enhanced, he would actually mail him another source-type item. Although this source-type item was still very unorthodox, it showed Listen's attitude. To some extent, this source-type item showed Listen's attitude. Listen's behavior was suspected of currying favor. However, if he was not a truly thoughtful person, he would definitely not do such a thing. On a certain level, Listen's price for buying this bronze/epic pain illusory fox was higher than the Lightning Sparrow King's king-class expert squad's price for buying the bronze/epic flame vein dragonfly. The price Listen paid was equivalent to 2 cubic meters of the day and night spirit silver for the Lightning Sparrow King's king-class expert squad's price. These 2 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver were priced at 10 million radiance dollars. Lin Yuan already had a relatively deep impression of this buyer called Listen, who had a sweet mouth. If Lin Yuan needed other spiritual ingredients that he could not buy in the future, he might as well trade with Listen. Lin Yuan was about to sleep when he suddenly received a call from Zhang Xiaobai. Lin Yuan picked up the phone and heard Zhang Xiaobai's excited voice. "Lin Yuan, have you had such a dream?" Lin Yuan had long been used to Zhang Xiaobai's incoherent way of speaking. "What dream?" "In the dream, I feel like I'm sleeping. In the dream, I pinch myself hard and feel a lot of pain. Then I feel like I'm awake, so I get up to go to the toilet. In the end, I feel like I've fallen into the river from a boat, and then I really wake up." Lin Yuan almost choked on his own saliva. "Zhang Xiaobai called me in the middle of the night just to tell me this? How can a grown man like Zhang Xiaobai say such a thing?" At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Zhang Xiaobai suddenly laugh out loud, making Lin Yuan confused. All of a sudden, Lin Yuan heard Zhang Xiaobai cry out in pain and hurriedly beg for mercy. However, Zhang Xiaobai's cry of pain did not end. Lin Yuan could imagine how Xianing had used her swift footwork to use the grasp of immortality and fatal rhythm to carry out Dark Harvest on Zhang Xiaobai. Then, Xianing picked up Zhang Xiaobai's call. "Lin Yuan, ignore him." Zhang Xiaobai just browsed the Star Web live streaming room for a while in the middle of the night, and he became like this. This is the 17th call he's made. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan felt as though a doomsday had jumped above his head. Lin Yuan chatted with Xianing for a while and was about to hang up the phone. At that moment, Xianing suddenly asked, "Lin Yuan, have you really decided to use Black's identity to compete for a spot in the Radiance 100 sequence this year?" Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan smiled, revealing his small white teeth, and said very firmly, "That's right. I'll go to the Star Web in a while and use the exclusive achievement I obtained from the Star Tower duel to register for this year's Radiance 100 sequence competition." Baidu read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 243. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yuan went downstairs. It was already late at night, but there was a cold rain in the royal capital. At this time, with this cold rain, the weather in the royal capital immediately became a bit colder. The royal capital's climate did not have much rain, and it did not rain a few times a year. It was not like the Redbud City's Xia region, where it rained all year round and the sun could not be seen for a few days. Lin Yuan looked at the curtain of rain and could not help but sing softly. In the drizzling curtain of rain outside the window, drifting a song lures me to listen. The reflection of the flute sword on the water surface, it's a poem of love hiding hatred. However, when Lin Yuan was singing, he did not notice that Chimey, which had been flying around his shoulder, suddenly stopped flying around. Instead, it carefully listened to the song that he sang with a very serious look, as if it was memorizing and learning something. Lin Yuan looked at the curtain of rain outside the window and could not help but think that perhaps it would not be rain next time. It would be the first snow of this year's winter. Once the snow fell, the Radiance Federation's most lively annual season would begin in less than a month. The Guild Alliance's tournament would start at the beginning of January and last until nearly April. Once the Guild Alliance's tournament ended, it would be time for Lin Yuan to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition. When Lin Yuan left the room, he saw Lu Jia and Wen Yu studying the red sandalwood longevity fish tank. The bronze eye/flawless spirit-containing hibiscuses were growing on top of the fish tank. At that moment, 99 bronze eye/flawless glow-winged butterflies were landing on the spirit-containing hibiscuses. There was also a hydrangea formed by 99 bronze eye/flawless 5 fortune ranchu goldfish. They were swimming around 3 bronze X/epic dragon phoenix landscape carps that resembled dragons and phoenixes. What a fairy-like scene. Previously, the mansion still needed to light up at night, but now there was a large amount of spirit chi released by these 5 fortune ranches. This red sandalwood longevity fish tank was constantly emitting a purple brilliance like a purple cloud. In addition, the furniture, which was completely composed of jade-textured wood, was also emitting a sparkling light in this rich spirit chi environment. Under the large amount of spirit chi, the light emitted by these completely jade-textured wood gave people an exceptionally tranquil feeling. It was as if his fatigue was quickly soothed under this warm halo. Wen Yu said excitedly as soon as Lin Yuan came down. "Young master, the combination of these phase and the fish tank carved from completely jade-textured red sandalwood is comparable to the famous works of those Class 5 spirit craftsmen." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan smiled slightly. Landscaping was nothing more than restoring the scene in one's mind to reality. Everyone's landscaping was usually the most beautiful scene in their mind. No matter how exquisite the ornaments made by Class 5 spirit craftsmen were, in Lin Yuan's heart, they were ultimately inferior to the auspicious scene formed by the perfect combination of spiritual ingredients and phase. Lu Jia's eyebrows twitched as he listened to her words. Lu Jia was also a person who had seen the world, but he was still shocked by the red sandalwood longevity fish tank for a long time. On one hand, it was because the scenery was too beautiful, but more so because of the luxury of the red sandalwood longevity fish tank. The jade-textured red sandalwood was astonishing, but it paled in comparison to the matching phase. The more Lu Jia looked at these matching phase, the more he was shocked. Nearly 300 bronze/flawless phase, which were originally very expensive, were matched with 3 bronze/epic koi that were like dragons and the wind, which were superior auspicious. With just a glance, one could feel the strong strength foundation of such a combination. However, Lu Jia found that when Wen Yu saw such a scenery, she was just marveling at its beauty. She was not surprised by the luxury of this scenery at all, which was enough to prove that Wen Yu had seen such things many times before. However, Lu Jia was just shocked and had no other thoughts. These discoveries increased the pressure in Lu Jia's heart and made his desire to become stronger. Lu Jia did not want to be a retainer knight who could not protect his master. Lu Jia rolled up his sleeves and walked toward the kitchen. "Lin Yuan, Wen Yu, I've wrapped the small wontons. Just put them in the pot and cook them. Both of you sit at the table and wait for me for a while." Lu Jia was going out to train tomorrow morning, so tonight's supper would be the last reunion dinner for Lin Yuan, Wen Yu, and Lu Jia before the Radiance 100 sequence selection. Soon after Lu Jia left, Lin Yuan also planned to set off for training in the next 2 days. After eating, Lin Yuan leaned on the chair and let out a breath of satisfaction. Lu Jia's bowl of small wontons was extremely light, but with a little spicy white pepper powder. It was indescribably pleasant to eat while it was hot on this rainy night. After eating this meal, Lin Yuan logged on to Star Web. He first logged on to Star Web as a creation master and put up the large batch of silver usnias and elite spirit siphon goldfish in his spirit lock spatial zone in his purchase with no loss store. This large batch of silver usnias and spirit siphon goldfish had been put up by Lin Yuan. However, Lin Yuan had set up the smart robots in this store to be updated once every week or so. However, the number of updates this time was much larger. Lin Yuan glanced at his purchase with no loss store's fan club and found that a few newcomers had joined. Most of these newcomers had relied on their hand speed and luck to stand out among the many buyers waiting to snatch goods. However, one of the newcomers in Lin Yuan Star Web Store's fan club surprised Lin Yuan a little. This person was Listen. Listen had obtained the opportunity to enter the fan club after completing his store's trade, which was different from other buyers waiting to snatch goods. Listen's method of entering the fan club was a bit similar to the method of the braised egg head. Counting the time, Lin Yuan and Listen had only completed the trade for slightly more than 3 hours. Therefore, Listen had only entered the fan club for slightly more than 3 hours at most. However, in these 3 hours, Listen had actually taken over the right to speak in his fan club. In the past, Lin Yuan's fan club's topics were focused on Zhoujiasen and the braised egg head. But now that Listen had joined, in just a few hours, the 2 points of authority, the braised egg head and Zhoujiasen, had completely gathered on Listen. This made Lin Yuan feel very strange. Listen's identity was different from most of the people in his store's fan club. Most of the others had come in to better wait for the silver usnias and elite spirit siphon goldfish. Such a trade would be around tens of thousands of radiance dollars to hundreds of thousands of radiance dollars. However, Listen had obviously entered the fan club in the hope of getting another chance to trade for bronze/epic phase. Therefore, Listen's trade volume often reached tens of millions of radiance dollars. Of course, Lin Yuan was not willing to trade for tens of millions of radiance dollars, as the significance of source-type items was far greater than their corresponding value. Lin Yuan thought that after Listen entered, he would directly call himself a big shot and take over the right to speak. However, after Lin Yuan scrolled through it, he could not help but be greatly surprised. Listen did not have any special behavior after entering the fan club. Just by relying on the way he spoke, Listen easily gained the favor of the majority of the people in the fan club. This was a very terrifying ability. This ability did not come from talent or strength, but from an extremely high emotional intelligence. However, Lin Yuan did not pay too much attention to Listen. He changed his identity as Black and logged on to Star Web. This time, Lin Yuan did not go to the Rare Life Form Pavilion to buy phase and spiritual ingredients as usual, nor did he go to the Star Tower to climb the tower. Instead, he went directly to the very sacred official organization on the Star Tower, the Radiance Sacred Hall. The Radiance Sacred Hall was responsible for the Radiance 100 Sequences qualification verification, selection, and ranking of Radiance 100 Sequence members. Lin Yuan went to the Radiance Sacred Hall this time because he wanted to use Star Web's achievement to obtain a chance to compete in the Radiance 100 sequence. Of course, not everyone was qualified to go to the Radiance Sacred Hall if they wanted to. If he wanted to enter the Radiance Sacred Hall, he had to first go through an identity verification. Then, Lin Yuan could obtain a chance to apply to the Star Web officials to enter the Radiance Sacred Hall. Of course, such an opportunity was limited to the Radiance Sacred Hall on Star Web. As for the Radiance Sacred Hall in reality, only true Radiance 100 sequence members were qualified to set foot in it. Since Lin Yuan had previously reached the 100th floor from the first floor of the Star Tower with a 102-match winning streak, he had obtained a Celestial Stairway exclusive achievement after going through 2 Celestial Stairway promotion duels and entering the Celestial Stairway. Although the Celestial Stairway Achievement Altar did not yet have Black's virtual image, the Star Web officials had contacted Lin Yuan several times during this period. However, the Star Web officials had contacted Lin Yuan several times during this period, asking for his permission to design Black's virtual image. As early as when Lin Yuan received the Celestial Stairway exclusive achievement from Star Web, Black's Celestial Stairway exclusive achievement had already been certified by the Radiance Federation officials. However, before Black's virtual image appeared on the Celestial Stairway achievement altar, the Star Web officials would not publicly announce it. Therefore, the Star Web officials immediately gave Lin Yuan the qualification to enter the Radiance Sacred Hall. However, after Lin Yuan entered the Radiance Sacred Hall, would he be able to complete the Radiance Sacred Hall's verification and become a seeded contestant to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection and compete for the qualification of only 10 Radiance 100 sequences every year? It would depend on whether Lin Yuan could meet the Radiance 100 sequence selection conditions in other aspects besides his strength. At the same time, the Radiance 100 sequence would also investigate Lin Yuan's resume, which was actually a test of his character. Every member of the Radiance 100 sequence was the backbone of the Radiance Federation and represented the Radiance Federation's younger generation. Therefore, the requirements for character were even stricter than other aspects. As soon as Lin Yuan arrived at the Radiance Sacred Hall on Star Web, he was immediately shocked by the Radiance Sacred Hall's grand atmosphere. He wanted to read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 244. The Radiance Sacred Hall occupied a very wide area, but there were only a handful of people who could apply on Star Web and obtain approval to come here. Furthermore, it was late at night in reality, so the huge Radiance Sacred Hall was very quiet. Lin Yuan found that he was the only one outside the Radiance Sacred Hall. Since he had obtained the qualifications to enter the Radiance Sacred Hall, he could walk around freely in the Radiance Sacred Hall. Lin Yuan was not in a hurry to immediately apply for the Radiance 100 sequence competition qualification. Instead, he chose to walk around outside the Radiance Sacred Hall. While walking, he carefully looked at the simple and magnificent scene outside the Radiance Sacred Hall. There were rows of statues outside the Radiance Sacred Hall, and they were all Radiance 100 sequence members of each generation. There were a total of 3 types of statues carved with the Radiance 100 sequence members. The first type was a golden statue. Behind these golden statues was a huge stone slab that was also golden. The stone slab was densely written with the Radiance 100 sequence members represented by these golden statues, as well as the great deeds and achievements they had made during their time in the Radiance 100 sequence. Only sequence members who had been in the Radiance 100 sequence for 10 years and had honorably retired at the end of their time were qualified to obtain such golden statues. The second type was a silver statue, which referred to the Radiance 100 sequence members who had been in office during their time. The third type was a bronze statue. These bronze statues represented the members who had been successfully selected for the Radiance 100 sequence but had been eliminated during their time in the Radiance 100 sequence. The golden, silver, and bronze statues stood quietly in rows. Lin Yuan knew that behind each statue was a true prodigy of the Radiance Federation. Whether it was the golden, silver, or even bronze statues, they represented those who had entered the Radiance 100 sequence but had been eliminated. They were the Radiance Federation's proudest backbone. After walking past these rows of statues, Lin Yuan saw a gallery that was 5 kilometers long. The walls of the gallery were ordinary bluestone slabs, which were carved with exquisite murals. Lin Yuan looked at them one by one. Every time he took a step forward in this gallery, he felt an inexplicable shock in his heart. This was because the murals in the gallery were all the major events that the Radiance Federation had experienced in the past 100 years since the Spirit Chi awakening. The Tenli Gallery was equivalent to a solemn chronicle. Behind this chronicle was the reason why humans could be called the wisest of all creatures. That was because humans possessed something that allowed them to transcend all other living beings. This thing was civilization. Lin Yuan did not know how long he had walked, but he had walked through the 5-kilometer gallery step by step. After looking at the 5-kilometer gallery, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that he had more interpretations of Hui Yao. Lin Yuan looked at the 7 words written on the blank space of the last drawing board and suddenly smiled silently. These 7 words were, "The future will be written by you." This might be the Radiance Federation's expectation for the younger generation. This expectation was the cornerstone for the Radiance Federation to constantly become better. He took firm steps and walked into the Radiance Sacred Hall's interior. His current state of mind had changed a little from when he had first entered the Radiance Sacred Hall. After entering the Radiance Sacred Hall, Lin Yuan found the staff and explained his intentions. Soon, he was taken to an office in the Radiance Sacred Hall by the Radiance Sacred Hall's staff. Lin Yuan pushed open the door and entered. He saw a middle-aged man holding a book about spiritual ingredients and reading it with great interest. Upon seeing Lin Yuan come in, the middle-aged man waved his hand and gestured for him to sit down. Then, he said, "Black, when you obtained the qualifications to enter the Radiance Sacred Hall, you were considered to have passed the Radiance 100 sequence selection in terms of strength. In terms of quality, there is no need to review the deeds of you guarding Millstone Town. However, data such as your age still needs to be reviewed. Just show me the information on your Star Web identity card." The middle-aged man looked at Lin Yuan with admiration and a trace of inquiry. He naturally admired Lin Yuan's strength to obtain the Celestial Stairway's exclusive title and his bravery in guarding Millstone Town during the Insect Tide invasion. He also inquired about Lin Yuan's identity. When the middle-aged man had let Lin Yuan come to the Radiant Sacred Hall, he had already started to check Black Star Web identity card. The Star Web was extremely protective of one's privacy. However, this kind of privacy protection was not included in the Radiance 100 sequence qualification test. However, when the middle-aged man checked Black's identity card, he found that Black's identity card was still in a confidential state. In other words, even something as important as being selected for the Radiance 100 sequence test was not enough to obtain the qualification to check Black's identity information. The middle-aged man had seen such a situation before. This situation proved that one of the Radiance Federation's top experts was standing behind Black. However, even if that was the case, these were 2 different matters. If Lin Yuan wanted to obtain the Radiance 100 sequence test qualification, he could not lack the verification of age. Lin Yuan did not hesitate at all and directly showed his identity's personal information. However, Lin Yuan only showed his basic information and still chose to hide his contracted phase information. On one hand, Lin Yuan knew that his contracted phase quality was simply too amazing. On the other hand, it was because he only needed to be assessed for the Radiance 100 sequences qualification test. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not need to reveal his phase information. Lin Yuan was not a person who liked to show off. On the contrary, he was an extremely reserved person, especially when it came to trump cards. Only strength that was held in one's hands and not known by others could be called a trump card. Such a trump card was the key to turning the tables in an evenly matched battle. If a person revealed all of his abilities, then that person would be playing against others openly. Even if the other party was not as strong as you, they might take out a hidden card that you did not know and win by surprise. After the middle-aged man checked Black's basic information, he could not help but be a little absent-minded. The middle-aged man already knew Black's strength, so there was nothing to be surprised about. However, what surprised him was Black's age. The youngest Radiance 100 sequence member seemed to be around 20 years old. At 18 years old, it was reasonable to say that he should have just graduated from the Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy. Black had already started to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence test at this age, which made the middle-aged man could not help but sigh. Heroes really come from the youth since ancient times. However, after understanding Black's strength, the middle-aged man did not think that Black could be selected into the Radiance 100 sequence this year. Although the strength that Black had displayed was amazing, in the middle-aged man's opinion, it was still a level lower than the Radiance 100 sequence. However, the middle-aged man was very optimistic that Black would choose to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition this year. Because no one would dislike this kind of youth's motivation and fighting spirit. The middle-aged man smiled encouragingly. You have obtained the qualifications to compete for the Radiance 100 sequence's 10 spots this year. Before the Radiance 100 sequence assessment, the Radiance Sacred Hall will contact you. Just as Lin Yuan was about to bid farewell, he heard the middle-aged man who had previously assessed him call out to him. Lin Yuan turned around and heard the middle-aged man's voice. Black, do your best in the sequence selection assessment. Lin Yuan's face behind the mask revealed a bright smile. Okay, uncle, I will do my best. The middle-aged man was stunned. After Lin Yuan left, the middle-aged man opened his office's drawer and took out a mirror. He carefully observed himself for a minute and constantly muttered. Why don't you call me brother? Should I call him uncle? Am I that old? Baidu read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 245. By the time Lin left the star web, the sky in the real world had already begun to brighten. Although a night of cold rain increased the chill of the late autumn morning. However, it cleansed the light of dawn and made it even more resplendent. Lin Yuan looked at the rising sun and stretched his body. He then carefully lay on the bed as he was afraid of waking up Genius and Chimey, who were sound asleep. Genius was originally sprawled on Lin Yuan's pillow, but in its dream, Genius and Chimey seemed to have instinctively sensed Lin Yuan's arrival and moved closer to him. This scene was exactly the same as what had happened in the small Fei store in the Xia region half a year ago. Lin Yuan closed his eyes and thought about everything that had happened in the past few months before settling down. This kind of accumulation was a complete analysis of one's gains and losses after a period of time. Not only did he solidify the path he had taken before, but he was also clear about the path he wanted to take in the future. When Lin Yuan woke up, it was already late in the morning. When Lin Yuan opened his eyes, he noticed that Genius and Chimey were looking at him with their big black eyes. Lin Yuan reached out to scratch Genius' chin and rub Chimey's little head. Are you two little things hungry? After saying that, he fed the platinum celery vines leaves and platinum cane loofah's fruits to Genius and Chimey. After washing up, Lin Yuan went downstairs and found Wen Yu entertaining the class for spirit craftsmen, Hu Quan, in the living room. Lin Yuan hurriedly went downstairs and said to Hu Quan, "That's right. Senior Hu Quan, are you planning to close the shop and stay in my manor to work?" Hu Quan's eyes immediately lit up. You're finally awake. You were unconscious yesterday, and I waited for you for half a day. When I came to find you this morning, you slept until noon. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan scratched the back of his head. Lin Yuan had always been a very regular person in his life, but he had been busy these 2 days, constantly compressing his time. This was because he planned to go out and train as soon as he was done with his matters. Since Hu Quan wanted to stay in his mansion, it was definitely good news for Lin Yuan. When Hu Quan saw that Lin Yuan did not speak, he could not help but feel a little uncomfortable. Hu Quan had only wanted to stay in Lin Yuan's manor, but ever since he had returned, he had been scratching his heart. After seeing the red sandalwood longevity fish tank, he could see that Lin Yuan's foundation was extraordinary. To a Class 4 spirit craftsman, nothing was more attractive than those rare spiritual materials. Using rare spiritual materials to create something was a spirit craftsman's dream in itself. By working for Lin Yuan, he would have the opportunity to come into contact with those rare spiritual ingredients every day. Hu Quan was satisfied to be able to see the red sandalwood longevity fish tank every day. Sorry to have kept you waiting. May I know what are the conditions for you to work in my manor? Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Hu Quan heaved a sigh of relief. In terms of conditions, if you can give me spirit materials equivalent to this completely jade-textured red sandalwood to create every month, I won't take your money. If you can't give me a spiritual material equivalent to this completely jade-textured red sandalwood every month to create, then I'll pay the market price of a class 4 spirit craftsman. Hu Quan's words were very straightforward. Hu Quan's purpose in staying in Lin Yuan's manor was to have another chance to get a spiritual material like this completely jade-textured red sandalwood to create. If Lin Yuan could not meet Hu Quan's requirements, Hu Quan naturally would not work for him for nothing. The market price of a class 4 spirit craftsman was not cheap. Upon hearing Hu Quan's words, Lin Yuan took out a very large piece of wood from his spirit lock spatial zone without saying a word. This wood showed a very beautiful reddish gold color, was glossy, had a unique texture, and had a very fragrant wooden fragrance. When Hu Quan saw it, he immediately could not help but want to touch this golden red wood. This golden red wood was the completely jade-textured old pear wood. The old pear wood was a batch of wood that Lin Yuan had placed in the spirit lock spatial zone. However, the old pear wood that had been placed in the spirit lock spatial zone had undergone a complete jade-textured transformation. Lin Yuan had originally prepared this old pear wood to be used as a cushion on the huge table in his spirit lock spatial zone. When Lin Yuan had bought this old pear wood, he had bought 4 pieces of it. Lin Yuan had taken out one of the remaining 3 pieces that could not be used in the spirit lock spatial zone. Now that he had the class 4 spirit craftsman, Hu Quan, Lin Yuan's completely jade-textured old pear wood could finally come in handy. Senior, I have enough rare spiritual materials. It seems that you're going to work for me in the manor for free. Hu Quan was not young anymore. When he saw the completely jade-textured old pear wood that Lin Yuan had taken out, he was so happy that he almost lost half his life. At that moment, he felt that he was the happiest spirit craftsman in the world. With so many precious spiritual materials for him to carve, Hu Quan suddenly felt that he might have a chance to become a class 5 spirit craftsman in the future. If that was really the case, his ancestral grave would be considered to be emitting green smoke. Hu Quan's face smiled like a bitter chrysanthemum, making Wen Yu feel disgusted. She felt that if she added a little black bean spirit fish and put it on Hu Quan's face, it could be served as a cold dish on the table. What are you going to do with this completely jade-textured old pear wood? I think it would be good to carve the 1,000 tigers leaving the mountains or the 100 birds of the parasol tree. Upon seeing Hu Quan's eager appearance, Lin Yuan took out an inkstone and wrote 2 words on this completely jade-textured old pear wood. Far away return. Under Hu Quan's dumbfounded expression, Lin Yuan spoke. Senior, help me carve the 2 words return from far away, on this completely jade-textured old pear wood. This house doesn't have a plaque yet, but it can be hung up now. He had suddenly thought of the word return from far away when he had watched Lu Jia train today. This was Lin Yuan's kind of wish. Whether it was Lu Jia, Wen Yu, or Chu Ci, who had yet to move into the house, no matter how far they went, they all hoped that they could return safely. At the same time, Lin Yuan also hoped that he could still be a young man after leaving for half his life. His original heart and sincerity were still the same. Hu Quan looked at the 2 words with a complicated expression. The words are not bad, but do you have to be so direct? I know you're the owner of this mansion, but you don't have to swear such a high-profile oath, right? In Hu Quan's opinion, the meaning of the word return from far away was that this land belonged to me, Hu Quan. Unlike Lu Jia and Wen Yu, Lin Yuan and Hu Quan had signed a very comprehensive employment agreement. On one hand, it was to give Hu Quan a guarantee, and on the other hand, it was also a protection for Lin Yuan's precious spiritual ingredients. From now on, Hu Quan, a Class 4 spirit craftsman, would become the return from faraway mansion's only toolman. Lin Yuan was ready to set off for training tomorrow. Before going out for training, Lin Yuan planned to complete the transaction with Gao Feng, whom he had previously agreed on. Just as he was about to call Gao Feng, Lin Yuan's cell phone rang. When Lin Yuan looked at the caller ID on his cell phone, his pupils constricted, and his heart thumped rapidly. The person calling him was none other than Auntie Zhang, whom Lin Yuan had been thinking about all this time but had yet to hear from. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 246. During this period, Lin Yuan had been contacting Su Jin and Dong Hai to ask about Auntie Zhang and Uncle Li ever since Lin Yuan's Jasmine Lily had become a fantasy breed and obtained the exclusive skill, Severed Life. Lin Yuan had always wanted to try and see if he could treat the tarsal gangrene on Uncle Li's leg. Similarly, Auntie Zhang's fantasy breed Fei, which usually disguised itself as a terror rabbit, had been in a critical state. Lin Yuan's Jasmine Lily's exclusive skill, Life Imprint, had accumulated a massive amount of vitality. As for Uncle Li's leg injury and Auntie Zhang's fantasy breed Fei's injuries, Lin Yuan was really confident in treating them. Even if the gangrene on Uncle Li's leg was poisonous, the Jasmine Lily's healing ability might not be able to completely remove it. However, there were other ways to treat Uncle Li's leg injury. The gangrene on Uncle Li's leg and the poison it carried had been firmly locked in his left leg. In fact, as long as Uncle Li's left leg was amputated and the Jasmine Lily's severed limb regrowth ability, it would be enough for Uncle Li to recover. However, no matter how Lin Yuan tried to contact Uncle Li and Auntie Zhang, there had been no news. Every time after contacting Su Jin and Dong Hai, Su Jin and Dong Hai's answers made Lin Yuan feel that they seemed to know something but were deliberately hiding it from him. This made Lin Yuan very worried about Auntie Zhang and Uncle Li's physical condition. But now, when Lin Yuan looked at Auntie Zhang's call, he suddenly felt a little sour in his nose. Lin Yuan's dreams were big, but his own world had always been very small. Having lived 2 lives, Lin Yuan could see many things clearly and open-mindedly. Like, don't like. Hate, don't hate. Agree, don't agree. Close, not close. Lin Yuan had always treated everything around him like this, upholding responsibility and love for life. In the past, Lin Yuan's world was so small that there were only Chu Xi, Auntie Zhang, and Uncle Wang. Even though Lin Yuan had slowly gotten to know many people since his body had recovered. Chu Xi, Auntie Zhang, Uncle Li, the Moon Empress, Cold Moon, Mystic Moon, the Mother of Bloodbath, Lu Jie, and Wen Yu were the ones that Lin Yuan truly cared about. Even with Zhang Xiaobai, Xianing, Tan Ran, and Lu Pinru, there were only a handful of them. Now that he had finally received Auntie Zhang's call, Lin Yuan's heart that had been hanging in suspense was finally at ease. At least he knew that Aunt Zhang, who was calling him, was fine. Lin Yuan picked up the phone, and before he could speak, he heard Auntie Zhang's forthright and passionate voice filled with deep concern. Little Yuan, I heard from Su Jin and Dong Hai that you followed Redbud City's city lord Ling Xiao to the imperial capital, and your body's problems have all healed? Lin Yuan listened to Auntie Zhang's familiar voice and tone, as well as the deep concern in her words. A faint smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. Auntie Zhang, I am fine. My body has recovered, and I am now a creation master. Lin Yuan had heard from Auntie Zhang that he had gone to the royal capital with Ling Xiao. He reckoned that she must have heard about it from Su Jin and Dong Hai. Auntie Zhang was like his elder, so he didn't have anything to hide from her. Therefore, even if Auntie Zhang did not ask, he had already said that he had become a creation master. Lin Yuan could feel Auntie Zhang's concern for him, so he said that he had become a creation master so that Auntie Zhang could be at ease and not worry about him. Little Yuan, it's good that your body has recovered. Auntie Zhang had always expressed all her emotions in her tone. At that moment, Auntie Zhang's tone was filled with indescribable joy, and the joy was almost transmitted over the phone. Lin Yuan's heart could not help but be moved. No matter what, Auntie Zhang was still most concerned about his body. Compared to his health, achievements were no longer important in Auntie Zhang's eyes. However, Lin Yuan still asked the question that he wanted to know the most. Auntie Zhang, how are you and Uncle Li's bodies? Has Uncle Li's leg been treated? Little Yuan, your Uncle Li's leg is already healed. Don't you know about my body? It has always been very good. When Lin Yuan heard Auntie Zhang's words, he knew that she was afraid that he would be worried and still did not tell him the truth. However, at least Auntie Zhang and Uncle Li's bodies were fine. They were much better than when they had left the Xia region. For a moment, Lin Yuan did not know how he should tell Auntie Zhang and Uncle Li that he wanted to help with their treatment. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard a very familiar laughing voice coming from Auntie Zhang's side of the phone. Ing, can you hurry up and talk to little Yuan? Can't you see that I'm waiting in line here? Immediately after, Lin Yuan heard a lot of noise coming from the phone. It was obvious that Uncle Li had snatched the phone from Auntie Zhang's hand. Little Yuan, tell me, what do you want to eat? Uncle Li will make it for you. Every time Lin Yuan heard Uncle Li ask him what he wanted to eat, he would at most ask him what he wanted to eat. Lin Yuan replied without thinking. I love all the meat that Uncle Li makes. I know that you love to eat meat. Do you think the 4 happiness meatballs are better made with pork or fish? Lin Yuan asked subconsciously. Of course, pork is better. Lin Yuan could feel that after he said pork is better, Uncle Li was stunned for a few seconds and suddenly asked very seriously, Little Yuan, compared to pork, haven't you always loved to eat fish? Lin Yuan could feel that Uncle Li suddenly became serious, and he was not quite used to it. When Lin Yuan interacted with Uncle Li normally, Uncle Li always had that cynical way of speaking and temperament. When Lin Yuan interacted with Uncle Li always had that frivolous way of speaking and temperament. However, since Uncle Li actually asked, Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and replied, I do. But I like to eat fried fish and squirrel fish. As for the 4 happiness meatballs, I feel that pork is better. I do prefer fish, but I like fried fish and squirrel fish. As for the 4 happiness meatballs, I think pork is more delicious, Wang Yao said. However, I like to eat fried fish and squirrel fish. As for the 4 happiness meatballs, I feel that pork is more delicious. Food doesn't have a fixed taste. What suits the palate is precious. Using the same ingredients in different dishes will produce different tastes. That's why eating the same ingredients in 2 dishes will actually feel like 2 different things. What suits the palate is precious. The same ingredients used in different dishes will give off different tastes. Therefore, the same ingredients in 2 dishes will be more like different things. Uncle Li, I'm now in the royal capital. Why don't you and Auntie Zhang come to the royal capital and stay here with me? Lin Yuan thought that after Uncle Li and Auntie Zhang came over, he would bring up the matter of treating Uncle Li and Auntie Zhang. There's no fixed delicacy in food. What suits the palate is treasured. Little Yuan, how good would it be if I had asked you which of the 4 happiness meatballs tastes better, fish or pork? Your Auntie Zhang and I will be busy with some matters for this year. After your Auntie Zhang and I are done with our work, Uncle Li will go to the capital to cook for you. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yuan could not help but touch the back of his head. Lin Yuan did not understand why Uncle Li was so happy. What had he figured out? Why was he going to be busy for a year? Lin Yuan did not think too much about it. However, Lin Yuan did not think too much about it. Now that he knew that Auntie Zhang and Uncle Li were fine, he was completely relieved. When Auntie Zhang saw the expression on Uncle Li's face, she suddenly froze. Then, Auntie Zhang revealed a clear smile. It's been almost 20 years. Have you figured it out? Upon hearing that, Uncle Li looked at Auntie Zhang and said, yes. I've thought it through. Let's go back. I wonder if that old thing will beat me to death after I return. Auntie Zhang went up and patted Uncle Li's back fiercely and said. What old thing? Don't talk about my father like that. Uncle Li smiled awkwardly and said. If Master hits me, you have to help me stop him. Otherwise, Master won't be able to control his strength. If he beats me to death, you won't have a place to cry. Madame Zhang looked at Uncle Li and gave him a flying kick. Li Zhonglin, I broke my father's heart when I ran away with you. I can't even protect myself when I get back, and you want me to plead for you? Hearing this, Uncle Li blinked his eyes awkwardly and squeezed out a sentence after a long time. We really are a pair of ill-fated Mandarin ducks. Aunt Zhang suddenly smiled brightly. You're the one who's not suffering. Anyway, I'll go back and tell my father that I was tricked by you when I first came out with you. Just wait for us father and daughter to beat you up. Uncle Li was dumbfounded when he heard Auntie Zhang's words. His expression was like a bullied bun. Aunt Zhang chuckled. Based on my understanding of my father, he wouldn't dare to punish you again. If he did, he wouldn't be able to take it if you left for another 20 years. Aunt Zhang's words made Uncle Li even more embarrassed. Auntie Zhang snorted. Little Yuan is now a creation master. When I go back, I will ask my father if he can take a look at little Yuan's talent and accept him as a disciple. Uncle Li widened his eyes. Fuck. If there's a difference in seniority, then wouldn't that kid Yuan be my junior brother? I hope those who really like this book can come to QQ to support the original version. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 247. When you had been paying attention to Lin Yuan's expression when he had answered the phone just now. Upon seeing that Lin Yuan had hung up the phone, when you handed over a cup of freshly brewed spirit tea. Young master, I feel like you're a lot happier after the call. Lin Yuan replied with a laugh. Yes, I can finally put my worries to rest. Apart from increasing his strength, Lin Yuan had been thinking about Auntie Zhang and Uncle Wang the most. As for Chu Ci, Cold Moon had already arrived in Redbud City, so he had nothing to worry about. During this period of time, he could feel how hard she had been studying and training during the phone call. Besides pride, Lin Yuan also felt a little sorry for her for working so hard to improve her strength. However, Lin Yuan blamed himself more, feeling that he seemed to have raised a good sister astray. Although he never paid attention to his own information on Star Web, he was very concerned about Chu Ci's information. Not long ago, Chu Ci had also started fighting in the Star Tower. Chu Ci's terrifying talent and the bronze/fantasy obsidian iron wild bull naturally attracted most people's attention. Some Star Web columnists were even writing articles about Chu Ci. Everything else was fine, but Chu Ci actually had a very mighty and domineering title on Star Web. Iron Bull Knight. It wouldn't be a bad title for a man, but Chu Ci was a girl. It was a little too much to give her such a title. Some time ago, when Chu Ci had been on the phone with Lin Yuan, she had mentioned that she wanted to learn a hobby after school. Lin Yuan naturally raised both hands in approval. It was rather good to learn a hobby outside of school. However, when Lin Yuan found out that she wanted to learn boxing, he could not help but sigh. Lin Yuan felt as though he was about to split open. In the end, after Lin Yuan tried his best to persuade her, she finally changed her idea of learning boxing techniques to learning fencing. Lin Yuan just wanted to hold his forehead with his hand. Did I raise my sister astray, or is she already so crooked that I can't pull her back? If he was given another chance, he would never let her contract the obsidian iron wild bull again. However, he was more at ease with Chu Xi learning the Baroque sword. Learning foil sword was much better than Zhang Xiaobai learning Yen Yi in every aspect. He could not help but sigh. Next year, he could consider letting her contract a third fei. Lin Yuan might have a direction for the third fei, but he didn't have a clear choice. But now, Lin Yuan would probably have to add a new standard to his choice. Apart from being powerful, the third fei she chose to contract must also be good-looking. If the obsidian iron wild bull's savagery was worth 10,000 points, then Chu Xi's newly contracted third fei would definitely pull it down to 0 points. Lin Yuan called Gao Feng. Lin Yuan's phone rang until it ended before Gao Feng picked it up. Lin Yuan could only hear that Gao Feng's voice was a little hoarse, as though he had just woken up and was in a daze. It was just that his tone wasn't very good. "Who is it?" "I'm sleeping. I'll call you when I wake up." Lin Yuan raised his brows. It seemed that Gao Feng still had the mood to wake up. "You don't want bronze/epic support type plant phase anymore?" As soon as Lin Yuan said that, he quickly put the phone 10 centimeters away from his ear. Lin Yuan heard Gao Feng yelling on the other end of the phone. "Brother, I've been waiting for your call." "Ah!" Lin Yuan felt that Gao Feng also had the talent of changing faces in Sichuan opera. "Previously, you said that you wanted a support-type plant fei with a stronger attack. I wonder if there are any specific choices?" Gao Feng was no longer sleepy on the other end of the phone. In fact, as soon as he heard Lin Yuan mention bronze/epic phase, Gao Feng had been completely awake. Especially after hearing Lin Yuan say that, Gao Feng's heart violently jumped, and his pupils contracted. As a core member of the Radiance Federation's 32 major cities, Wind Mist City's richest Gao family, Gao Feng's ability to listen and distinguish sounds was simply too strong. Lin Yuan's question was tantamount to saying that he could choose any support-type plant fei with offensive power that he wanted. The meaning of the statement was self-evident. Only a person with at least a Class 4 creation master backing him would have the confidence to say such words. Even a Class 4 creation master would find it difficult to nurture a bronze/epic fei. However, the words that came out of Lin Yuan's mouth were as simple as asking if he had eaten. Even with the wealth of the Wind Mist City's Gao family, they definitely did not have the confidence to say such words. All the cells in Gao Feng's body were telling Gao Feng that it was time to suck up to him. It was just that Gao Feng was a little embarrassed and stuttered. "Brother, can I change the support-type plant phase that focus on attack into support-type phase that focus on support-type phase? Those that can help people recover spiritual power." When Gao Feng spoke, he was very careful. He was obviously afraid that if he suddenly changed his mind, Lin Yuan would have a bad opinion of him. When trading for bronze/epic phase, it was not a good thing to suddenly change the type of bronze/epic phase after making an agreement. Lin Yuan was a little surprised. What had Gao Feng experienced during the past few days? What made a support that only focused on dealing damage become a support that only focused on supporting? The change was simply too great. Lin Yuan's fei affinity was inclined toward healing and support-type phase that did not have any offensive means. However, Lin Yuan had always been inclined toward output when it came to enhancing his phase. However, when it came to output, Lin Yuan's control, defense, and healing were all very comprehensive. He would not let himself have an obvious shortcoming. However, in just a few days, Gao Feng's thinking had changed faster than an old lady spraining her waist. However, Lin Yuan did not have any objections to Gao Feng's change of choice. He said, "Then, among the support-type plant phase that have support-type abilities that can recover spiritual power, do you have any better choices?" Gao Feng's eyes lit up. Lin Yuan's words meant that there was a way. "Brother, do you have any bronze/epic spirit spring lilies?" When Lin Yuan heard the word spirit spring lily, he said, "A bronze/epic spirit spring lily is not cheap. A bronze/epic spirit spring lily isn't cheap. An ordinary bronze/normal spirit spring lily's price is already comparable to an ordinary gold fei. Furthermore, the requirement for the spirit spring lily's quality advancement is extremely high. Even pinnacle class for creation masters will have a certain difficulty and might fail. Therefore, you should understand the price." Gao Feng chuckled and said, "Don't worry, brother. Brother, don't worry. I, Gao Feng, never lack money. However, brother, can I have 3 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies?" Lin Yuan smacked his lips when he heard that. "Young man, you're quite arrogant. 3 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies were much rarer than the 3 bronze/epic flame vein dragonflies that had awakened the Silurian overlord huge vein dragonfly bloodline that he had traded with the lightning sparrow king previously. Therefore, in terms of price, the standard was naturally higher. Lin Yuan's bottom line was at least 10 source-type items. Moreover, there must be 2 source-type items that were relatively easy to contract and were in high demand before Lin Yuan would choose to trade. When Gao Feng saw that Lin Yuan did not speak for a long time, he carefully probed. Can I trade with the island whale?" Upon hearing the words island whale, Lin Yuan made a prompt decision. "Sure." Lin Yuan had not expected that someone would be willing to trade the island whale, even if it was 3 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies. In a sense, the island whale's preciousness was not inferior to a bronze/legend fei that had yet to appear on the market. Baidu, read the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 248. The island whale's preciousness wasn't because of how powerful it was, but because of the strategic significance of feis like the island whale. Since the spirit qi awakening, the ocean had become a forbidden place for humans. Similarly, the sky above the ocean had become as dangerous as the deep sea. Many feis living in the ocean had the means to attack the sky above the ocean after reaching platinum. Some fish feis relied on spraying high-pressure water into the sky and even set off 100-meter-tall waves. There were also some marine feis that could temporarily jump from the ocean to the sky to launch attacks. This was also the reason why only a handful of human powerhouses were able to set foot in the ocean. The world's territory was huge, and there were many federations. However, the ocean separated them, and there were few opportunities to communicate. The island whale, a magical life form, had become a way for humans to set foot in the ocean, and it was absolutely safe at that time. The island whale was a very magical life form and couldn't be considered a life form in the ordinary sense. This was because the birth of the island whale didn't come from the island whale's mother's womb, but from a large whale fall in the depths of the ocean. The phenomenon of a whale sinking to the bottom of the ocean after its death was called a whale fall. A whale's carcass could support a set of seabed ecosystems for nearly 1,000 years. Only a place where thousands of magnificent cetacean beasts died together could be called a large whale fall. A whale fall was the world's magnificent beasts' last gentleness to the ocean. When a whale fell, all living things were born. When tens of thousands of whales fell, the island whale appeared. In the depths of the ocean, after a large whale fall, the whale's carcass would be completely decomposed by deep-sea lifeforms after nearly 10,000 years. A few gem-like eggs would be left behind in the deep sea after this huge whale had fallen. These eggs would nurture the island whale. It could be seen what a rare fei the island whale was and what an important strategic resource it was. Due to the praise of the miracle of life, the whale fall, all the lifeforms in the ocean wouldn't attack the island whale. The unborn island whale would sleep in the gem-like eggshell that appeared after the whale fall. After absorbing enough spirit qi, the island whale would automatically hatch. Before reaching the peak of diamond and becoming a fantasy breed, the island whale's body would only be over 10 meters long, which was not comparable to ordinary cetacean phase. However, when the island whale reached the peak of diamond and became a fantasy breed, it would become a suzerain. The island whale's body was so big that it looked like an island sheltered by the ocean on a turbulent sea. After reaching the suzerain tier, the stronger the island whale was, the larger its island would be. It could be said that the island whale was the only option for humans to venture into the ocean. A fae like the island whale could no longer be treated as a fae. This was because every suzerain island whale was a powerful foundation that could deter other large forces in the world. Lin Yuan did not expect that Gao Feng would actually choose to exchange an island whale for 3 epic spirit spring lilies. Although the value of 3 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies was roughly comparable to that of an island whale, it was not worth much. But in terms of significance, it was completely incomparable. This was because the 3 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies could be replaced by other bronze/epic faes. However, it was impossible to set foot in the sea without the island whale. Lin Yuan didn't know if he should say that he was lucky or that Gao Feng was really a prodigal. When Gao Feng heard that Lin Yuan agreed so quickly, he was delighted in his heart, but he quickly said, "It's not a big deal. Brother, although I'm trading with you for an island whale that has yet to develop intelligence in a gemstone eggshell, this island whale may be a little special." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan became solemn. "How is it special?" Gao Feng smiled bitterly and said, "I don't know how special it is. I'll bring it over for you to take a look before you decide if you want to trade or not. If you don't trade for the island whale, I'll use source-type items or precious spiritual ingredients to trade with you. I definitely won't let you suffer a loss." When Gao Feng said this, he began to think about how many source-type items he should prepare to bring over first. Gao Feng also wanted to make 2 preparations. This island whale that had yet to hatch was too special. It was so special that the Gao family had no way to hatch it. The Gao family provided for a class 4 creation master. However, this class 4 creation master had just become a class 4, so it was still very difficult for him to enhance a bronze/epic fae. However, the class 4 creation master still had the eyesight. With the class 4 creation master's confirmation, this island whale that was still in the gemstone eggshell had mutated. However, the island whale was rare, and even the class 4 creation master could only see that it had mutated. However, there was no research on what exactly had happened to the mutated island whale. This was also why Gao Feng was able to control this island whale. Otherwise, even if Gao Feng was the only direct descendant of Wind Mist City's Gao family, he definitely wouldn't be qualified to take out such a fae that symbolized the foundation to trade. Lin Yuan didn't care much. When Gao Feng took out this island whale, he would use true data to see where it had mutated and whether he was worth the trade. Lin Yuan and Gao Feng had agreed to meet at 3 p.m., so there were still a few hours. At this time, Lin Yuan had already started to purchase spirit spring lilies from the Star Web's rare life-form pavilion and began to enhance them. In the inner palace of the Leaning Moon Mountain's Radiant Moon Palace, Xian Yu looked at the proud but somewhat worried Moon Empress and couldn't help but say, "Moon Empress, young lord didn't look for you to write the recommendation letter. Instead, he used the Celestial Stairway title that he obtained from the Celestial Stairway to obtain the qualification to compete for the Radiance 100 sequence. You should be happy." The Moon Empress looked at Mystic Moon with melancholy and said, "This consort's disciple is naturally outstanding, but this consort's disciple is too independent. This makes me, as his master, feel like I haven't been of any help in his path of growth." Xian Yu wanted to say something, but she didn't say it out loud. Instead, she kept it in her heart. A true prodigy was never a flower in a greenhouse, but a hero who faced difficulties head-on and opened up a path of his own with his own strength. If Lin Yuan sought the Moon Empress help for everything, it would prove that the Moon Empress had made a mistake when choosing her disciple. The Moon Empress felt that the spirit tea in her mouth wasn't fragrant no matter how she tasted it. She couldn't help but recall what Chef Supreme had said when she was talking about disciples with him. "I'm so envious that you have such a good disciple. You can be so worry-free." At the thought of this, the Moon Empress was so angry that she stood up and asked Mystic Moon, "Chef Supreme said that he's envious of this Empress's ease. You said that Chef Supreme envies me for being so relaxed. Is he mocking me for not being a good master?" Xian Yu broke out in a cold sweat and said carefully, "Chef Supreme probably doesn't mean that." Xian Yu really couldn't help but want to curse in her heart. Chef Supreme must really be envious of the Moon Empress. Chef Supreme was a Class 5 creation master with a lifetime of fame, but his 3 disciples were really worry-free. Chef Supreme was a Class 5 creation master with an illustrious reputation, but each of his 3 disciples was truly worrisome. It was said that the eldest disciple wasn't good at combat, but he was very talented as a creation master. However, his path was in conflict with the creation master's path that Chef Supreme had taught him. In the end, the eldest disciple insisted on his own path and left Chef Supreme to prove that the path he took was right. He even abducted Chef Supreme's only biological daughter. The second disciple was also an oddball. When he was a creation master, it was unknown what was wrong with his brain. He immediately went into the sea to do business and set up the Spirit Food Pavilion. Chef Supreme's second disciple was really good at doing business. He used his master's name to open a restaurant. It made the entire Radiance Federation think that the Spirit Food Pavilion was opened by Chef Supreme himself. The third disciple was Chef Supreme's disciple in recent years. He was very outstanding as a creation master and spirit chi professional, but he always liked to go to all kinds of dangerous places. It was said that Chef Supreme would go to dangerous places every 2 or 3 days because of his youngest disciple, and he was so scared that he had palpitations. Chef Supreme arranged a path protector for his youngest disciple, but the path protector was so tortured by his youngest disciple that he had a nervous breakdown. Chef Supreme was already so miserable in teaching his disciples, so how could he still have the mood to mock others? Wasn't this the same as comparing who was sweeter between potatoes and sweet potatoes? At that moment, Xian Yu heard the Moon Empress snort. No, Chef Supreme must be mocking this Empress. The next time this Empress sees him, I will not let him off. Xian Yu didn't dare to reply and just silently mourned for Chef Supreme for 3 seconds. Xian Yu wasn't sure if Chef Supreme was mocking. However, when the Moon Empress went to settle the score with Chef Supreme, every word she said about her disciple was heard by Chef Supreme. That was definitely the best way to show off. Baiduan read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 249. Lin Yuan had already made plans to go out for training early in the morning. Therefore, he had just set a time for 3 p.m. After completing the transaction with Gao Feng, Lin Yuan still had to go to the Radiant Moon Palace to meet his master, the Moon Empress, for a final question-and-answer session before going out for training. There were less than 4 hours left before 3:00 in the afternoon. Therefore, Lin Yuan immediately logged into Star Web and went to the Rare Life Form Pavilion to purchase the Spirit Spring Lily that Wang Duo had chosen. The Spirit Spring Lily was a support-type plant fey. Although the Spirit Spring Lily was relatively rare and expensive, it was not too difficult to buy in the Rare Life Form Pavilion. That was because the Spirit Spring Lily was a pure support-type fey, and its demand in the market was not very high. The Spirit Spring Lily did not have the slightest offensive ability or the slightest control ability. Instead, it was a support-type plant fey that could inject a large amount of spirit chi into other feys to increase the strength of their abilities. When the high-grade Spirit Spring Lily was activated, the spirit chi that gushed out of the lily bud was like a gushing spirit spring. Although the Spirit Spring Lily's support-type ability was extremely strong, the spirit chi professionals who contracted it were relatively awkward. This was because the spirit chi professionals who contracted the spirit spring lily could only rely on their teammates no matter what they did in the future. If it was like Poison Beauty, whose contracted Fae was extremely suitable for Star Tower duels and not suitable for spirit chi professional teams, then the spirit chi professionals who contracted the spirit spring lily would only be suitable for team battles and not for Star Tower duels. However, support-type spirit chi professionals who contracted the spirit spring lily could actually play a role comparable to healing-type spirit chi professionals in a team. In fact, the role of a support-type spirit chi professional like the spirit spring lily was stronger than that of a healing-type spirit chi professional to some teams. However, the prerequisite for such a willful choice of a Fae like the spirit spring lily was that one had to have a stable and reliable team of spirit chi professionals. Lin Yuan did not understand why Gao Feng had contracted a breeze hibiscus. The breeze hibiscus was a support-type plant Fae that had the ability to gather spirit chi. These three spirit spring lilies were obviously in line with Gao Feng's Fae affinity direction. Obviously, these three spirit spring lilies were the Faes that Gao Feng wanted to contract. Lin Yuan couldn't help but reveal a handsome and confused expression. Was Gao Feng trying to turn himself into a spirit chi silo on the battlefield? The higher the grade of a Fae like the spirit spring lily, the more obvious the role it could play in a team. This meant that the spirit spring lily was a Fae with extremely high requirements for resources. As the wealthiest family in Wind Mist City, Gao Feng naturally had the ability to support three spirit spring lilies. However, such a Fae combination was a little too extreme. Lin Yuan was the kind of person who did not like to put his fate in the hands of others. However, Gao Feng's choice of a contracted Fae was the same as handing his fate to his teammates. The three spirit spring lilies that Lin Yuan had purchased in the Star Web Rare Lifeform Pavilion were quickly delivered to him through Ostrich Logistics. When Lin Yuan had been enhancing these three spirit spring lilies, an accident had occurred. This was because one of the spirit spring lilies had mutated when it was promoted to the bronze rank. From the spirit spring lily to the yellow spring lily. This surprised Lin Yuan because the probability of a spirit spring lily mutating into a yellow spring lily was simply too low. Although it was not like the blue flash butterfly mutating into the blue flash purple butterfly that only existed in legends, the probability was not much different from winning 5 million in the lottery. If this yellow spring lily did not consume too much spiritual energy to form a contract, Lin Yuan would have wanted to keep this yellow spring lily and form a contract with it. However, there was only a trace of spiritual energy left in Lin Yuan's mind, and he could only form a contract with a normal/normal Fae. Even if Lin Yuan increased some spiritual energy by eating the Cinnabar Osmanthus haworthia in the future, he would rather form a contract with a few more normal/normal Faes. With that increased spiritual energy, Lin Yuan would rather form a contract with a few more normal/normal Faes and nurture them slowly. He was also unwilling to form a contract with a bronze yellow spring lily and completely consume his spiritual energy. Lin Yuan used Morbius' exclusive skill, Spirit Lock, because the Spirit Gather goldfish and the blue flash purple butterfly were still stuck at bronze X/legend and lacked a suitable willpower rune to promote to fantasy breed. Therefore, Morbius had been unable to promote to silver due to the Spirit Gather goldfish and blue flash purple butterfly's grades. As a result, Morbius' Spirit Lock spatial zone had been unable to open the fourth Spirit Lock position. However, even if Morbius reached silver and opened the fourth position of Spirit Lock, Lin Yuan would not let Morbius Spirit Lock the yellow spring lily. This was because the yellow spring lily's ability was not suitable for Morbius' exclusive skill, Spirit Lock. The yellow spring lily's ability was to use the sacrificial sacrifice effect once in battle, sacrificing itself. It would sacrifice itself to heal the Fae's injuries and restore it to its peak state. After using sacrificial sacrifice, the yellow spring lily would enter a withered state and need a long time to slowly recover. The phase grade that the yellow spring lily could recover had to be lower than its own grade. Therefore, Morbius' exclusive skill, Spirit Lock, had an intrinsic conflict with the yellow spring lily's sacrificial sacrifice. Moreover, the talents of the people around Lin Yuan were not suitable for forming a contract with this yellow spring lily. Therefore, Lin Yuan planned to ask Gao Feng for his opinion on this yellow spring lily. Gao Feng should want to form a contract with this yellow spring lily. The support effect that a yellow spring lily could play could directly increase a support-type spirit chi professional's strategic position in a team battle and even raise it above the main output members. This was because the yellow spring lily's ability effect could greatly increase the fault tolerance in a team battle. Many 5-man teams would often revolve around 1 or 2 main phase in a team battle. The spirit spring lily's effect was equivalent to letting the main phase in this team not die. No matter how serious the injuries they suffered, they could instantly recover to their peak state. A bronze/epic yellow spring lily's value was many times higher than a bronze/epic spirit spring lily. Therefore, during the transaction, Lin Yuan naturally could not calculate the price of the bronze/epic yellow spring lily according to the previously agreed price of a bronze/epic spirit spring lily. However, Gao Feng and the Wind Mist City's Gao family behind him should be willing and able to afford the price of this bronze/epic yellow spring lily. At the same time, Lin Yuan was also very much looking forward to the abnormal island whale that Gao Feng would bring in a while. If a fae like the island whale was abnormal, there was only one possibility: it had mutated. Lin Yuan could not help but look forward to how the mutated island whale that Gao Feng had mentioned on the phone was different from a normal island whale. Gao Feng was willing to use a strategic class resource like the island whale as a bargaining chip to exchange with him. Given the foundation of a wealthy family like the Gao family, they would never easily take out important strategic resources. Therefore, this mutated island whale must be very problematic. It was so problematic that the Gao family felt that this island whale was a useless thing in Lin Yuan's hands. Not long after Lin Yuan finished enhancing the 3 spirit spring lilies and obtained 2 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies and 1 bronze/epic yellow spring lily, Lin Yuan's cell phone rang. Lin Yuan took a look and saw that it was Gao Feng who was calling. Brother, hee. I've already told me the location. It's a manor. Brother, you have good taste. I saw that the environment of the manor you live in is not bad. Lin Yuan replied, wait for me at the door. Wait for me at the door. I'll get someone to bring you in. After saying that, Lin Yuan went downstairs and asked Wen Yu to bring Gao Feng over. In Lin Yuan's opinion, his transaction with Gao Feng was a process of enriching his resources. Through the transaction with Gao Feng, Lin Yuan could obtain those precious spiritual ingredients or phase that were not sold in the Star Web's rare lifeform pavilion. Soon, Gao Feng was brought to the entrance of the mansion by Wen Yu. At that moment, the completely jade-textured old pear wood plaque with the words "Return from Far Away" was hung under the eaves of the mansion. Under the sunlight, the completely jade-textured old pear wood plaque emitted a golden-red luster. The luster seemed to have that simple and unadorned wood texture. The moment Gao Feng entered the manor, he had already felt the difference in the manor. It was late autumn, and even some high-grade phase would have corresponding changes due to the change in the solar terms. For example, some plant-type and wood-type phase would lose their leaves in late autumn, while plant-type and flower-type phase would not bloom in winter and would be dormant. However, all the plants in this mansion seemed to be unaffected by the solar terms and were still so lush and green. The temperature inside the mansion was the same as outside. However, the state of the plant's growth was like midsummer. Gao Feng arrived at the entrance of the mansion. Although he had yet to step into the house, he could feel a large amount of spirit qi and a faint jade-like luster. Gao Feng's heart jumped. Putting aside the large amount of spirit qi, just this jade-like luster was not a stranger to Gao Feng. Baidu was the first to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 250. This kind of jade-textured luster was very clear and seemed to have a natural refreshing feeling. Gao Feng, who came from an aristocratic family, could not be more familiar with this feeling. This was because the flower carving on Gao Feng's bed was carved from jade-textured willow wood. However, Gao Feng had yet to enter the mansion, and he could feel this halo during the day. Gao Feng knew that there was only one possibility. This mansion had a large number of things made of completely jade-textured wood. The moment he stepped into the mansion, Gao Feng suddenly felt that he was not as confident as when he came. As the richest family in Wind Mist City, the Gao family's wealth could be ranked in the entire Radiance Federation. As the only direct descendant of the Gao family, Gao Feng's arrogance and vision were unimaginable to ordinary people. It could even be said that Gao Feng was very flattering to Lin Yuan because Lin Yuan had the bronze/epic phase that he needed. Gao Feng would take out the mutated island whale, which was useless to the Gao family, to trade with Lin Yuan. He wanted to show off the Gao family's strength and wealth and let Lin Yuan know the benefits of trading with the Gao family. However, looking at the furnishings in this mansion, Gao Feng suddenly did not know where to put his arrogance as a descendant of the Gao family. Gao Feng naturally recognized the glow-winged butterflies, spirit-containing hibiscuses, and 5 fortune ranches. In Gao Feng's eyes, such a large number of bronze/flawless 5 fortune ranches, glow-winged butterflies, and spirit-containing hibiscuses had been converted into radiance dollars. Furthermore, with such a large number of bronze/flawless phase, there might be a few that had the potential to evolve to bronze/epic. It was simply too extravagant and shocking for such a fey to be casually raised in the residence. Although Gao Feng could not name the 3 carps that looked like dragons and phoenixes, he still had the vision to look at things. These 3 bronze/epic high-class auspicious fays were worth dozens of ordinary bronze/epic fays. Coupled with the completely jade-textured furniture and the fish tank made of completely jade-textured red sandalwood, Gao Feng clearly realized how deep the foundation of this mansion's owner was. It wasn't that the Gao family didn't have completely jade-textured wood, but most of them were made into ornaments and sculptures. It was inevitable that the furniture would be damaged if it was knocked around. Even to Gao Feng, the act of casually using furniture made from completely jade-textured wood could be considered a squandering act. The main residence of the Gao family was by a mountain and a river. Even the decorations in the main residence, which had been around for thousands of years, were not as luxurious as the decorations and furnishings in this residence. Gao Feng had completely retracted his arrogance from this transaction. If Gao Feng had only treated Lin Yuan as a superficial brother previously, he now really wanted to be friends with Lin Yuan. Gao Feng was very quick-witted. There was no harm in currying favor with this young man in front of him. Moreover, as a descendant of a wealthy family, Gao Feng had a good understanding of the strength and status of the people in his circle of friends. In Gao Feng's opinion, only people with similar strength and background could become friends who could share resources with each other. Because the strong could unite and become stronger. The combination of the strong and the weak, for the strong, would either absorb the weak as a vassal, or be a burden. When you said, "Young master, I've brought Gao Feng over. I'll help Uncle Hu to see if there are any other things in the manor that need to be meticulously sculpted and designed." Lin Yuan nodded, and when you bowed and left the residence. This made Gao Feng even more shocked. Gao Feng could feel the arrogance hidden deep in her bones from Wen Yu's bearing and bearing. This kind of arrogance was the kind of arrogance that was very polite. This kind of arrogance with politeness could only be nurtured in a true faction. Gao Feng had always thought that Wen Yu was also the owner of this mansion, but he now knew that this young lady in front of him was just a servant of this young man. Lin Yuan didn't care about what Gao Feng was thinking at this moment and said, "Come, let's sit down and talk. Let's sit down and talk." Then, Lin Yuan poured a cup of spirit tea that had just been brewed on the table for Gao Feng. Gao Feng took a sip of the spirit tea and carefully savored it. He could tell that this spirit tea should be produced from a platinum tea tree. However, he didn't know what kind of platinum tea tree it was, as he had never drunk it before. This spirit tea had a trace of spiritual fragrance, and when it rolled down the throat, it would immediately have a sweet aftertaste and bring along a light sweetness. The moment the spirit tea entered the mouth and was drunk, it was as though he had a light dream and was exceptionally strange. Gao Feng saw the crane silhouette censer on the table and couldn't help but ask. "Can I see what kind of incense is burning in this crane silhouette censer?" Lin Yuan picked up the teacup and took a sip of the spirit tea. "You're welcome, please go ahead." Since he had already seen Lin Yuan's foundation, Gao Feng didn't find it strange that the crane silhouette censer was completely carved from the jade-textured dragon blood gold silk bamboo. It was just that the incense in this censer was too heavy, and Gao Feng felt that his state of mind had completely calmed down when he smelled this scent. However, when Gao Feng opened the lid that was carved with the crane silhouette and glanced at the black crystal powder that was burning in the censer that was emitting green smoke, Gao Feng hurriedly put the lid back on the crane silhouette incense burner. Gao Feng felt as though he was about to split open. Gao Feng immediately recognized this black crystal powder as the completely jade-textured agarwood. A trace of such an item could be sold for hundreds of thousands of radiance dollars, and it was considered an elegant item. But now, someone had actually shattered it and burned it in the censer. He simply did not take the radiance dollar seriously. Hundreds of thousands of radiance dollars had been burned in just a few minutes. Could it be just to smell this agarwood's faint and imperceptible calming fragrance? When Lin Yuan saw Gao Feng staring at the crane silhouette censer in a daze, he took the initiative to take out a bronze/epic spirit spring lily and placed it on the table. "This is a bronze/epic spirit spring lily. I wonder what's the situation with the abnormal island whale that has yet to hatch in the eggshell?" When Gao Feng saw the light pink bronze/epic spirit spring lily's 3 blooming flower buds and the spirit chi flowing like a mountain spring, he was delighted. Then, Gao Feng waved his hand and summoned an oval crystalline eggshell that was nearly half a meter tall from the flower-shaped diamond face storage box hanging on his wrist. The eggshells of ordinary island whales were dark blue with some brown lines. However, when Lin Yuan looked at this abnormal island whale egg in front of Gao Feng, he saw that this abnormal island whale egg had an extremely light blue color. The blue color had all sorts of indistinct bluish-white patterns. Lin Yuan could not help but say, "Your island whale's eggshell color is much worse than the island whales I know." Lin Yuan's words made Gao Feng a little embarrassed. After seeing Lin Yuan's foundation, Gao Feng had made up his mind to make friends with Lin Yuan, so he went straight to the point. "Brother, you should know about the breeding of island whales. If an island whale wants to hatch from its eggshell, it needs to devour a lot of spirit chi and water elements. Isn't there a saying that a whale swallows the world? Therefore, the amount of resources needed to breed a fantasy breed island whale is even more than the cost of feeding 100 king-tier powerhouses." Baidu read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 251. Gao Feng saw that Lin Yuan was listening to him seriously, so he continued. "This mutated island whale always has a sense of rejection toward absorbing spirit chi and water elements. Every time a creation master concocts a medicinal liquid rich in spirit chi and water elements, this mutated island whale can only absorb a little. To tell you the truth, with our Gao family's wealth, it is impossible to hatch this island whale." Lin Yuan was already using true data to observe this mutated island whale that was still in the crystal eggshell and had yet to hatch. However, under true data, this mutated island whale in the crystal eggshell was no longer called an island whale. It was called the floating island whale. Fei name, floating island whale, Fei species, baleen whale/winged whale, Fey grade, unhatched, Fey type, Chi/water, Fey quality, normal. This floating island whale was not just a water-type Fey, but a water and Chi dual-type Fey. Looking at the information under true data, this floating island whale really surprised Lin Yuan. When ordinary island whales evolved into fantasy breeds, they would form islands of varying sizes in the sea according to their strength. On the back of the island whale's contractor could carry out construction as he wished. The island whale itself was a Fey born in a whale fall preys in the sea and would not be attacked by any marine Feys. In fact, many marine Feys would even spontaneously protect the island whale when it was attacked from outside. The island whale itself did not have any special attack means, but this did not mean that it was weak. On the contrary, few lifeforms of the same grade could resist the island whale's impact. Moreover, the island whale was like a moving fortress, and the real attack means often existed on its back. The difference between this floating island whale and normal island whales was that normal island whales could only form an island on their back in the sea. However, the floating island whale had two choices. It could either become an island in the sea or fly to the sky and build a floating city on its back. Gao Feng's words had also entered Lin Yuan's ears. He stroked the crystal eggshell that was incubating the floating island whale and tried to inject spiritual power into it. He found that the crystal eggshell would also reject the high-concentration spirit qi that he was transmitting over. With true data, Lin Yuan understood the reason. Previously, when the Gao family had been cultivating the floating island whale that had yet to hatch in the egg, they had not grasped the basic points. If one wanted to hatch an island whale, one could not just rely on a large amount of spiritual energy. At the same time, spiritual materials that contained a large amount of water elements were needed to promote the normal hatching of the island whale. It was the same for the floating island whale. It was supplemented with a large amount of spirit energy and water spirit materials, as well as gas spirit materials that were comparable to water spirit materials. Only then would the crystal eggshell that nurtured the floating island whale not reject it and absorb it. As for the floating island whale's contract method, it was very special and didn't require spiritual energy like other Feys. Instead, he needed to use his blood to imprint his scent on the floating island whale's eggshell for a long time. The floating island whale absorbed the blood on the eggshell. After birth, it would recognize the person with the smell of blood as its mother. At the same time, the floating island whale would take the initiative to form a contract with the person it treated as its mother. It could be said that the floating island whale's contract method was very simple. However, hatching an island whale wasn't something that ordinary people or forces could do. Gao Feng watched as Lin Yuan stroked the crystal eggshell that nurtured the mutated island whale and checked the island whale's situation. "Brother, if you don't think this island whale is good enough, I also brought a lot of source-type items to exchange." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan raised his brows. It would be fine if he didn't see this floating island whale, but how could he choose to let it go after seeing it? "I'll trade this island whale, but it may not be enough to trade for my 3 bronze/epic Feys." Gao Feng blinked his eyes and thought, Lin Yuan isn't asking for too much, right? He wants to bargain with this mutated island whale that hasn't hatched yet. If that was the case, Gao Feng would rather keep this mutated island whale and trade it with source-type items. In the entire Radiance Federation, probably no family or faction could take out this unhatched island whale. The Gao family had obtained this island whale by chance. Due to the Gao family's experts going out to sea, they encountered a huge storm and tsunami. The ships made of gold spiritual materials were swept far away by the ocean currents, and the Gao family's experts could only sink into the deep sea to avoid the wind and waves that could tear steel apart. Just as they were avoiding the wind and waves in the deep sea, the Gao family's experts happened to find a large whale fall at the bottom of the sea that had almost ended. The Gao family's experts searched the location of this large whale fall and only found 2 crystal eggshells that had yet to hatch and were pregnant with the island whale. However, when the Gao family's experts picked up these 2 crystal eggshells that were pregnant with the island whale, they were frantically besieged by the marine phase. At the cost of the death of 7 of the Gao family's king-class experts, they brought back a crystal eggshell that was pregnant with the island whale. The other island whale, which was still in the eggshell and had yet to hatch, had been snatched away by the marine phase in the battle with them. If it wasn't for the Gao family's king-level expert using a crystal eggshell with an island whale as bait, they wouldn't have been able to escape. Even if 7 king-class experts had perished in the other crystal eggshell that was pregnant with the island whale, it would not have been able to escape the pursuit of the crazy marine phase. It was just that the Gao family had paid such a huge price to bring back the island whale was a mutated one. For so many years, the Gao family had racked their brains, but there was no way to make this mutated eggshell that was pregnant with the island whale no longer reject spirit chi and water elements. When Lin Yuan summoned the other 2 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies, Gao Feng stared at them without blinking. Gao Feng stared unblinkingly at the bright yellow bronze/epic spirit spring lily. He immediately recognized that it was a yellow spring lily. As a direct descendant of the Gao family, Gao Feng dared to want to buy 3 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies. However, he had never dared to think about finding a bronze/epic yellow spring lily. This was because Gao Feng had been trying to get a yellow spring lily for almost a year. However, Gao Feng had not even been able to obtain a bronze/normal yellow spring lily. Now that he saw this bronze/epic yellow spring lily, Gao Feng could not help but tremble with excitement. If Lin Yuan wanted to obtain the floating island whale, then Gao Feng wanted to obtain the yellow spring lily at least 10 times more than Lin Yuan. Gao Feng had not been satisfied with his talent since he was young. However, talent could not be changed no matter what, so Gao Feng had accepted his fate. Since he was young, Gao Feng had thought that since his talent was a mediocre support-type spirit chi professional, he might as well unleash the support-type spirit chi professional support ability to the extreme. However, when Gao Feng was studying in Wind Mist City's Advanced Spirit Chi Academy, he suddenly understood that as a support-type spirit chi professional, no matter how strong his support ability was, he still had to rely on his teammates. Gao Feng deeply felt how helpless his fate was in the hands of others. That was why Gao Feng wanted to increase his attack power. This was also why Gao Feng wanted to obtain the source-type Hurricane Owlet Moth at the private auction. However, the overwhelming news of the tournament start made Gao Feng's original thoughts return to the original place. Gao Feng's current thinking was also very carefree. After all, he was the only direct descendant of the Gao family. He had plenty of capital to squander. In Gao Feng's opinion, if he insisted on being a support that focused on output, his attack power would never be comparable to an offense-class spirit chi professional. That way, he would really become a mediocre person. During this period of time, Gao Feng had been looking for a team that he could rely on. He could also display what a true support should be like in his heart. Now, as a stubborn perfectionist, Gao Feng finally saw the yellow spring lily he had been dreaming of. Moreover, the yellow spring lily was bronze/epic. Gao Feng looked at the bronze/epic yellow spring lily and said firmly to Lin Yuan, "Brother, this mutated island whale is indeed not worthy of these 2 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies and bronze/epic yellow spring lilies." Gao Feng paused for a moment, then said very sincerely, "Brother, name a price. How many source-type items can be exchanged for these 2 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies and this bronze/epic yellow spring lily?" Lin Yuan smiled and shook his head. Lin Yuan's shake of his head immediately made Gao Feng nervous. When Lin Yuan saw the floating island whale in the crystal eggshell that had yet to hatch, he had already made up his mind about what resources he was going to exchange with Gao Feng. Since the Gao family had tried their best to hatch this floating island whale, they would definitely have what Lin Yuan wanted. Moreover, these items used to hatch the island whale could not possibly appear in the Star Web's rare lifeform pavilion. The reason was very simple. It was because the Star Web's rare lifeform pavilion was not worthy of such items. Lin Yuan looked into Gao Feng's eyes and said indifferently, "Baidu, read the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free." Chapter 252. Lin Yuan's voice echoed unhurriedly. "Since you said that your Gao family cultivated this mutated island whale, then your Gao family must have elemental shellfish." As soon as Lin Yuan's words fell, Gao Feng's originally nervous expression immediately became exceptionally grave. Gao Feng was currently weighing the value of the elemental shellfish and the bronze/epic yellow spring lily. Even if the yellow spring lily was a support-type fey that Gao Feng dreamed of, he did not know if he should agree to Lin Yuan's conditions. Gao Feng knew that since Lin Yuan had proposed to trade the elemental shellfish, it meant that Lin Yuan had already made up his mind. If he didn't agree to exchange it with the elemental shellfish, it was very likely that this bronze/epic yellow spring lily would not be fated with him. However, even as the only direct descendant of the Gao family, Gao Feng couldn't make a decision on his own regarding the elemental shellfish. Gao Feng thought for a moment and said in a roundabout way, "Brother, do you want this elemental shellfish to cultivate your own island whale? The resources needed to cultivate the island whale and elemental shellfish are not a small amount." Lin Yuan didn't hide it and nodded. "Since I chose to trade this mutated island whale, I naturally have to nurture it." Gao Feng's eyelids twitched as he looked at the crystal eggshell containing the mutated island whale. Gao Feng was well aware of how much resources the Gao family had used up for this mutated island whale. It was simply a bottomless pit. The Gao family had been nurturing this mutated island whale for so long without any progress. Gao Feng did not think that Lin Yuan could hatch this mutated island whale. However, when he saw Lin Yuan's confident expression, he didn't know how to persuade him. When Lin Yuan really looked for a creation master to try to use the concocted spirit fluid to nurture this mutated island whale, he would probably back off. As for the elemental shellfish, Gao Feng hesitantly extended 4 fingers and said, "If you want to exchange for an elemental shellfish, I can't even take out a single adult elemental shellfish. I can only take out 4 young elemental shellfish that are dormant." Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and shook his head. "For dormant infant elemental shellfish. Brother Gao is too stingy. This is a bronze/epic yellow spring lily. If Brother Gao misses it, you won't be able to find it anywhere else." He had heard that the elemental pearls produced by the elemental shellfish were required to nurture the island whale. This was the knowledge he had learned from the Moon Empress during the question-and-answer session with her. Lin Yuan had been curious and noted it down. He did not expect to be able to obtain a mutated floating island whale today. Lin Yuan knew that if he could exchange for 4 young dormant elemental shellfish, it would already be very suitable for him. However, since he was trading such a precious item with Gao Feng, he still had to raise the price. When Gao Feng heard Lin Yuan's words, he said very seriously, "Yes. Brother, if it weren't for the fact that you took out this bronze/epic yellow spring lily, which made it hard for me to reject, I would never have agreed to exchange it with the elemental shellfish. Our Gao family has been expanding into the sea all these years. We've sacrificed a lot of king-class combat power, but after so many years, we have less than 15 elemental shellfish. These 4 young elemental shellfish are the only 4 that the Gao family has left. Brother Lin, if you really feel that 4 young elemental shellfish are not enough, then I'll add another 5 million radiance dollars. Is that possible?" Gao Feng's words made Lin Yuan involuntarily recall the private auction held by the Lightning Sparrow King's King-class expert squad. Gao Feng had said the same thing in order to exchange for that source-type life form, the hurricane owlet moth. It was obvious that Gao Feng liked the yellow spring lily very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such an aggrieved expression and added another 5 million radiance dollars to see if he could reach a deal with Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan knew about the elemental shellfish, and they were indeed abnormally precious. They only grew in places with high spirit qi concentration in the deep sea. However, places with high spirit qi concentration in the deep sea were inhabited by a large number of powerful marine fays. The elemental shellfish was a fey that had an extremely high requirement for spirit qi concentration. This was a little similar to Lu Jie's source-type life form, the insect queen. However, Lu Jie's source-type life form, the insect queen, could only recover its injured roots and evolve and improve its quality under high spirit qi concentration. As for the elemental shellfish, if they didn't live in an environment with high purity of spiritual energy, they would die in a short while. Therefore, for the other factions to allow the elemental shellfish to live healthily, they would need at least a Class 3 creation master to carefully accompany them. They used all kinds of precious spiritual ingredients to concoct a spiritual liquid that produced a high concentration of spiritual energy, just so that the elemental shellfish could survive. Nurturing the elemental shellfish was a matter that consumed a lot of resources. For the elemental shellfish that were in a dormant state during their infancy, as long as they didn't awaken the elemental shellfish with a high concentration of spirit energy, the elemental shellfish would be fine. In that case, the young elemental shellfish could survive for a long time in a dormant state. Gao Fengtian's decision to take out 4 infant elemental shellfish at once was already a rather bold decision. Lin Yuan said straightforwardly, "Why don't I become friends with Brother Gao?" 2 epic spirit spring lilies and a bronze/epic yellow spring lily in exchange for Brother Gao's unhatched mutated island whale, plus 4 elemental shellfish that are in a dormant state in their infancy. After speaking, Lin Yuan waved his hand and took out a strip of black crystal from the leaf-shaped diamond face storage box. When Lin Yuan took out the strip of black crystal, it immediately had a jade-like luster. The black crystal that Lin Yuan took out was a completely jade-textured agarwood. When Lin Yuan saw that Gao Feng was rather fond of the agarwood's burning smell, he thought of giving one to Gao Feng. Lin Yuan did this because he wanted to make a business friend with Gao Feng. In the future, he could also trade with Gao Feng to exchange for some resources that he couldn't obtain in the rare life-form pavilion. In the Spirit Qi Awakening era, radiance dollars might have powerful purchasing power. However, some rare spiritual ingredients and phase had strategic significance and value that couldn't be measured with radiance dollars. The elemental shellfish was such a fey. The elemental shellfish could produce elemental pearls in an environment with a high concentration of spirit qi. The elemental pearls produced by ordinary elemental shellfish contained a variety of pure elemental energy. The elemental energy contained in the elemental pearls produced by the elemental shellfish could be completely absorbed by the fey. Under normal circumstances, when a fey devoured spiritual ingredients, it would only be able to absorb a little bit of the corresponding elemental energy. Even if a creation master concocted the spiritual ingredients into a spirit fluid, the fey wouldn't be able to absorb a lot of elemental energy from the spirit fluid concocted by the creation master, and it would be a huge waste. It was the same as a fey absorbing spirit qi. When a creation master concocted a spirit fluid to enhance a fey, even if it was concocted by a pinnacle class for creation master, the fey wouldn't be able to completely absorb it. However, Lin Yuan could use his body to transfer the spirit qi in the world to the fey's body, allowing the fey to completely absorb it. The elemental pearls and elemental energy produced by the elemental shellfish had the same effect as Lin Yuan's body and spirit qi. However, after Lin Yuan obtained the elemental shellfish, he was going to induce the elemental shellfish to mutate. He was going to induce 2 of the 4 infant elemental shellfish to mutate into the aquamarine elemental shellfish. It would produce elemental pearls that contained pure water elements. The other 2 infant elemental shellfish would be induced to mutate into the celestine elemental shellfish. It would produce elemental pearls that contained pure qi elements. A high concentration of pure spirit qi wasn't worth mentioning to Lin Yuan as it was everywhere in the spirit lock spatial zone. With the aquamarine elemental shellfish and the celestine elemental shellfish, it was equivalent to having elemental pearls that contained pure water elements and elemental pearls that contained pure qi elements. By then, if Lin Yuan wanted to nurture the Wateran Qi dual-type floating island whale, it wouldn't be a problem anymore. Gao Feng was also a forthright person. As a direct descendant of the Gao family, Gao Feng usually had his own schemes. However, in his heart, Gao Feng had already treated Lin Yuan as someone on the same level as him and had the intention to befriend him. Now that Lin Yuan had given him such a precious, completely jade-textured agarwood, Gao Feng couldn't help but feel a little touched. Gao Feng could not help but feel a little touched. He took out an ice blue jade brocade box from the flower-shaped diamond face storage box on his wrist. When this ice blue jade brocade box was taken out, it immediately emitted a chilling intent. Baidu was the first to read the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 253. Gao Feng handed the icy blue jade brocade box to Lin Yuan and said, "All right, let's go. Brother, I will ask my family to mail the 4 infant elemental shellfish to you from Wind Mist City through Ostrich Logistics." Lin Yuan took the jade box that Gao Feng handed over and did not reject it. When he opened the brocade box, he saw a giant dark blue scale of an unknown fey. These scales contained extremely powerful water element energy and dragon might. It was obvious that this scale came from a powerful dragon species fey that lived in the sea. He waved his hand and stored the ice blue jade brocade box into his leaf-shaped diamond fey storage box. Upon seeing this, Gao Feng also put the completely jade-textured agarwood back into the flower-shaped diamond fey storage box hanging on his wrist. Giving gifts after a transaction was an expression of goodwill and a desire to befriend the other party. Gao Feng was naturally very happy about this situation. However, when Gao Feng saw that he already had 2 bronze/epic spirit spring lilies and 1 bronze/epic yellow spring lily, he was both happy and troubled. This was because he wanted to become a pure support-type spirit qi professional, and he had done it now. However, the problem of him not having any teammates had not been solved, and this made Gao Feng very frustrated. Lin Yuan asked when he saw Gao Feng's expression constantly changing as he looked at the 3 bronze/epic fays he had nurtured. "Is there any problem with the exclusive skills comprehended by these bronze/epic fays at bronze?" When he had enhanced the 3 spirit spring lilies, he had upgraded them from elite to epic. This way, when these 3 spirit spring lilies were promoted to bronze, Lin Yuan would have 3 chances to choose an exclusive skill. In his opinion, be it the 2 spirit spring lilies or the yellow spring lily, the exclusive skills he had chosen were very good. Lin Yuan had chosen based on Gao Feng's situation. Gao Feng hurriedly replied, "That's not the case. Be it these 2 spirit spring lilies or this yellow spring lily, their exclusive skills at bronze are very suitable for me." At this point, Gao Feng felt that it was really a coincidence. In Gao Feng's mind, he would never have thought that Lin Yuan had specifically chosen the exclusive skill that would be produced when a fey evolved to bronze based on his situation. Gao Feng thought that Lin Yuan already had these 3 bronze/epic fays. Gao Feng had not told him that he had changed his mind and wanted the spirit spring lilies. Moreover, it had only been over 4 hours since he had changed his mind. In such a short period of time, Gao Feng did not dare to guess that the 2 spirit spring lilies and the yellow spring lily had just been promoted to bronze/epic. Gao Feng sighed 3 times and said, "My previous contracted fey was a breeze hibiscus, but it has been promoted to a gold/fantasy breed fey. In addition to these 2 spirit spring lilies and this yellow spring lily, my 4 contracted fays are purely supportive. I might not even be able to defeat a spirit qi professional with a silver power offense type fey. I don't know what my father is thinking this year. He still wants me to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. It will be embarrassing enough for me to go in. Even if I have a gold/fantasy breed breeze hibiscus, it doesn't have the ability to attack, and it will be beaten out in an instant. I have always wanted to find a stable and reliable team, but I can't find a suitable one. It's too difficult for me. Gao Feng had opened up a chatterbox and told Lin Yuan about his worries. Lin Yuan listened to Gao Feng's words and said, I don't need a silver power offense-type Fey. Gao Feng's contracted Feys were at the extreme. They were all weak plant species Feys. They didn't have attack abilities and weren't good at attacking. Their plant bodies were also very weak. If such a way of contracting Feys was in a stable team, and if the other team members were strong enough individually, Gao Feng would be a god-tier support. If such a method of contracting Feys was used in a stable team, and if the other team members were individually strong enough, Gao Feng would be a god-class support. If the teammates were not strong enough and the teammates carried Gao Feng, it would be the same as 4 against 5. This was because Gao Feng's role was only to make a strong team stronger. In a weak team, even if Gao Feng enhanced his teammates, helped his teammates, and the friendly phase on the battlefield to recover spirit power, protected the core phase, and increased the tolerance for mistakes, it still wouldn't be of any decisive use. However, it still wouldn't be of any decisive use. If he wasn't strong enough, he would still be beaten up. In Lin Yuan's opinion, Gao Feng was indeed too difficult. When Gao Feng heard Lin Yuan's words, he was immediately flabbergasted. According to normal operations, shouldn't Lin Yuan be consoling himself at this moment? Why isn't he playing by the rules? In less than 2 hours, the 4 infant elemental shellfish that were still in hibernation were transported from Wind Mist City's Gao family to Lin Yuan's hands. Gao Feng looked at the 4 infant elemental shellfish that weren't even as big as the amber buttons on Lin Yuan's sleeves. Once these 4 infant elemental shellfish are awakened from their hibernation by spirit qi, if there isn't a high-concentration spirit qi environment for them to survive within 5 minutes, the elemental shellfish will immediately die. Gao Feng was very serious when he said this. What Gao Feng said was a bloody lesson that the Gao family had learned after losing a few infant elemental shellfish when they were nurturing the elemental shellfish. If Gao Feng didn't treat Lin Yuan as a friend, he wouldn't have said such words. Lin Yuan immediately stored the 4 elemental shellfish into the Spirit Lock spatial zone. With the high-concentration spirit qi in the Spirit Lock spatial zone, the 4 infant elemental shellfish would immediately awaken from their hibernation and absorb a large amount of high-purity spirit qi. Lin Yuan planned to mutate 2 elemental shellfish into aquamarine elemental shellfish and 2 into celestine elemental shellfish. Then, he would stop the elemental shellfish's grade at elite/epic and prevent them from evolving to bronze. If the elemental shellfish were to evolve to bronze, they would evolve into another shellfish Fey, the exploding pearl shellfish. When they evolved to bronze, the exploding pearl shellfish would enhance their offensive capabilities. The elemental pearls produced by the bronze exploding pearl shellfish would become bombs that contained elemental energy, and other Feys wouldn't be able to perfectly absorb them. If that was the case, Lin Yuan would be at a huge loss. After Gao Feng completed the transaction with Lin Yuan, he asked for Lin Yuan's private communication software and added each other as friends. Before leaving, Gao Feng suddenly said, "Brother, you have so many completely jade-textured wood spirit materials. I wonder if you have any surplus you want to sell?" Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan replied, "I have a lot of completely jade-textured wood spirit materials here. If you want to trade, we can contact each other on the phone." When Gao Feng heard this, he was overjoyed. Gao Feng could not help but think that if he could get a lot of jade-textured wood from Lin Yuan, his old fogies would be so happy. This was because to the rich and powerful, having furniture or ornaments made of completely jade-textured wood placed in their homes represented their heritage and prestige. After Gao Feng left, Lin Yuan looked at the time. It was already dusk. He left his mansion and headed in the direction of the Radiant Moon Palace. After visiting his master, the Moon Empress, Lin Yuan couldn't wait to go out and train. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 254. When Lin Yuan arrived at the Leaning Moon Mountain, he happened to see Jin Qi, who was wearing a light yellow spirit attendant robe, tidying up the dead branches that some plant phase had shed after they had evolved. When Jin Qi saw Lin Yuan, she quickly bowed and greeted, "Greetings, Lord Lin Yuan." Then, he hurriedly went to other places to clean up the environment of the Leaning Moon Mountain. Jin Qi did not know why, but when she saw Lin Yuan now, she no longer had the same thoughts as before. There was only awe and fear. Ever since Wen Yu was chosen as her assistant, Jin Qi had been living in fear. He was always afraid that Wen Yu would find fault with him. Even Lin Yuan would help Wen Yu deal with him. Jin Qi now understood that even Wen Yu could deprive her of her qualification as a spirit attendant with just a word, let alone Lin Yuan, the Radiant Moon Palace's young lord. Lin Yuan, who was heading toward the Radiant Moon Palace, did not know Jin Qi's thoughts. If Lin Yuan knew, he would definitely think that if a person was suffering from persecutory delusions, they would need to be treated quickly. Of course, if a person did not do anything wrong, it would be difficult for him to suffer from a mental illness such as persecutory delusion. When Lin Yuan arrived at the Radiant Moon Palace's entrance, he saw his master, the Moon Empress, holding an emerald green bottle that contained a light purple spirit liquid. As the Moon Empress' wrist shook, the pale purple spirit fluid churned. Lin Yuan felt as though ancient trees that pierced through the clouds had appeared in front of him. The ancient tree contained a majestic life force. This life force seemed to be able to lift up the heavens. The Moon Empress circulated her spirit power, and the spirit liquid in the bottle turned into 2 wisps of purple gas that wound around the 2 diamond/legend silver stamen gold luster caches beside the Radiant Moon Palace. The 2 diamond/legend silver stamen gold luster cache absorbed the 2 wisps of faint purple spirit chi. One of the branches and leaves became more luxuriant, while the other seemed to wither in an instant. All of the leaves, including the remaining flowers of the silver stamen gold luster cache, turned into ashes in an instant. The Moon Empress had already noticed Lin Yuan's arrival and waved at him. "Let's go. Follow me to the back of the palace. This silver stamen gold luster cache has lived up to expectations. When it sprouts, it will be promoted to the suzerain tier. I didn't waste the suzerain tier blood wood, the freedom canopy, and the holy river to concoct this spiritual liquid." He was currently using true data to observe the 2 silver stamen gold luster caches in front of the Radiant Moon Palace. The withered silver stamen gold luster cache had obviously comprehended a willpower rune and was accumulating energy to advance to the suzerain tier. After reaching suzerain, if it could withstand the world cleansing, it would become a myth-breed fae. As for the other silver stamen gold luster cache, although its growth looked gratifying, it actually had a tree full of flower buds in late autumn. But in essence, there wasn't much improvement. At that moment, Lin Yuan felt his spirit jolt, and a feeling of enlightenment surged in his heart. He felt that this feeling of enlightenment was still a little lacking. As long as that strand was broken, he would be able to comprehend another willpower rune. The Moon Empress sensed Lin Yuan's change and smiled. "As long as I have an understanding of the world, obtaining a willpower rune is only a matter of time. I don't have to worry too much about the understanding in my mind and just let nature take its course." Lin Yuan nodded. Lin Yuan had always been open-minded, so he wouldn't worry too much about the willpower rune he hadn't comprehended and the feeling of being in the clouds. This feeling of being just a little short of enlightenment was a little like a person wanting to sneeze but being stuck and almost unable to sneeze. After entering the Radiant Moon Palace's main hall, Lin Yuan had a question-and-answer exercise with the Moon Empress. This question-and-answer exercise went on for a long time. It was mainly because during this period of time, as Lin Yuan's strength got stronger and he came into contact with more things, he could increasingly feel his shallowness. However, the question-and-answer exercise with the Moon Empress perfectly made up for his shallowness. As long as Lin Yuan asked the Moon Empress about all his doubts, a few words from the Moon Empress would allow Lin Yuan to have a thorough understanding of the previous problems. At the same time, the Moon Empress questions were also a process for Lin Yuan to consolidate. This question-and-answer exercise had resolved many of Lin Yuan's doubts. This feeling of benefiting greatly made Lin Yuan feel very comfortable. Lin Yuan told the Moon Empress about his idea of going out to train. The Moon Empress listened carefully to Lin Yuan's thoughts with a smile on her face, her eyes filled with pride for her child. The Moon Empress knew Lin Yuan's current strength. At first, she was very surprised when she found out, but she had never taken the initiative to ask Lin Yuan. In the Moon Empress' opinion, every spirit chi professional should have their own opportunities and secrets. As Lin Yuan's master, the Moon Empress had always been standing behind Lin Yuan and silently watching her disciples' progress. The Moon Empress always blamed herself a little for not helping Lin Yuan enough on his path of growth. However, as a pinnacle expert, how could the Moon Empress not appreciate her disciples' self-reliance and self-improvement? Without such character and perseverance, how could he have the possibility of becoming a true expert? After Lin Yuan finished speaking, he looked at his master, the Moon Empress. "Master, I plan to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection after I come back from the training." Then, Lin Yuan told the Moon Empress about the process he had gone through to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. Although the Moon Empress already knew about it, she didn't stop it and listened quietly. From the Moon Empress' point of view, it was the happiest thing for a teacher when her own disciple told her about his achievements. At night, Lin Yuan stayed for dinner at the Radiant Moon Palace. Before leaving the Radiant Moon Mountain, the Moon Empress stopped Lin Yuan and handed him a very ordinary-looking wooden token that was carved with a crescent moon. The first and last crescent moon seemed to be rotating non-stop, and each rotation lasted for a month. Lin Yuan looked at the wooden sign in confusion. The Moon Empress stepped forward and said, "This is a source-type item called the Extreme Token. My Fei, Cold Moon Lone Disk's Moonlight Domain is sealed inside. It can be used as a trump card to protect yourself apart from the Mother of Bloodbath." When the Moon Empress said this, there was a faint smile on her face. Although the Moon Empress had found the Mother of Bloodbath as a path protector, it could be said to be a perfect plan. However, as a teacher, how could he truly be at ease when it came to the safety of his disciple? Lin Yuan suddenly felt his eyes dry up as he looked at this very ordinary-looking source-type extreme token. Lin Yuan could feel a kind of love from the depths of the soul. This was a kind of selfless love for the best. The Moon Empress looked at Lin Yuan and reached out to help him tidy up the collar of his clothes. "Disciple, since you've chosen to go on your own, you can try to establish a faction that belongs to you. The Radiance Federation is peaceful and happy because it is strong enough, and no one dares to invade it. However, the world outside the Radiance Federation is a mixture of good and evil. Sooner or later, it will be a world you will have to explore. Remember, no matter what, I will always be your strongest support. With me around, no matter what you do, even if you poke a hole in the sky, no one in this world can touch you." When she said this, 2 crescent moons seemed to form in the Moon Empress' eyes, constantly condensing and disappearing. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 255. Finally, the Moon Empress waved her hand and said in a warm voice, "Go. I'll cook something delicious for you when you come back." It was already late at night when Lin Yuan went down the Leaning Moon Mountain. The cold autumn wind blew on Lin Yuan's body, giving him an indescribable feeling. This feeling was ambition and lofty sentiments. In Lin Yuan's opinion, a man should be upright and broad-minded. Even if he did not go through the life and death tribulation and sweep away the turbidity of the universe, he should at least take revenge while he was young. Lin Yuan no longer had too much pressure from the outside world, whether it was to survive or improve his strength. Even if there was pressure in terms of strength, it was given by Lin Yuan himself. Lin Yuan could be said to be a young hero for having such strength at the age of 18. When he heard the Moon Empress words just now, Lin Yuan suddenly had the idea of forming a private faction. Although Lin Yuan had the idea of forming a guild club before, it could not be considered a private faction. However, a guild with the nature of a club couldn't be considered a private force. Especially now that Lin Yuan had the floating island whale, which could be called a strategic resource of the world. Lin Yuan could completely establish a private faction of his own on the floating island whale's back. When the floating island whale grew up, it would be like a giant beast with a floating city on its back. The floating island whale could carry the city on its back on the surface of the sea, but it could also carry the city on its back and float in the clouds. If he built a faction on the back of the floating island whale, which could be called a strategic resource of the world, then Lin Yuan's faction could go anywhere in this big world. It could be said that the floating island whale was the foundation of Lin Yuan's private faction. However, how many resources would be consumed to form such a huge private faction? Therefore, the collection of resources had become the primary problem Lin Yuan had to face. Previously, Lin Yuan had also started to collect source-type items. He did not care if they were useful to himself or his friends. He only treated these source-type items as a kind of strategic material. But now that Lin Yuan had plans to establish his own private faction, the speed of collecting strategic resources was obviously only a drop in the bucket. Suddenly, Lin Yuan thought of Gao Feng's reaction when he saw the furniture made of completely jade-textured wood. As a core member of Wind Mist City's Gao family, Gao Feng still loved and cherished this completely jade-textured wood. It could be seen that this completely jade-textured wood had a vast market among the rich and powerful families. It wasn't that completely jade-textured wood was so rare that it couldn't be found. On the contrary, completely jade-textured wood was much more common than some truly precious spiritual materials and phase. However, such a situation had occurred because this completely jade-textured wood was crazily sought after by people with status in the Radiance Federation, and the market was simply too vast. As long as completely jade-textured wood appeared on the market, it would immediately be snatched up by the big families. Wealthy families would never let go of the opportunity to buy completely jade-textured wood. No matter how much jade-textured wood there was, as long as he could afford it, he would buy it and store it. This was because the ornaments and furniture made of jade-textured wood, even if they were just small ornaments, represented the heritage and face of a wealthy family to a certain extent. Lin Yuan's Spirit Lock Spatial Zone was now 80 square meters in size, and it did not look small. Apart from the area occupied by the Spirit Pool and the Pure Land of Bliss, there was still more than half of the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone that could be set up. However, Lin Yuan had never done detailed planning and integration of the empty spaces in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone. Therefore, there were still plenty of empty spaces in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone that could be used again. Moreover, more than half of the large batch of wood that Lin Yuan had stored in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone had been used up after building the red sandalwood longevity fish tank and some jade-textured furniture. Therefore, Lin Yuan planned to store more precious wood in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone. At the same time, he would place some phase that would transform in an environment with a pure spirit chi concentration in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone. As for those spiritual materials that could transform in an extremely high spirit chi concentration, Lin Yuan did not plan to place them in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone anymore. Firstly, it was too troublesome for Lin Yuan to collect those spiritual materials that could transform in the Star Web's rare lifeform pavilion. Secondly, it was because those spiritual materials that could transform in an extremely high spirit chi concentration might have a longer transformation period than completely jade-textured wood. Moreover, the purchase price was much higher than those ordinary wood that could produce completely jade-textured wood under a large amount of spirit chi concentration in the spirit lock spatial zone. Finally, these spiritual materials that could transform in an extremely high spirit chi concentration were not only not as wide as completely jade-textured wood in the market. They might not even be as good as completely jade-textured wood in terms of price. After all, completely jade-textured wood not only had actual value, but it also had the additional value of symbolizing foundation and face. After Lin Yuan made full use of the empty spaces in the spirit lock spatial zone, these completely jade-textured rare wood cultivated in the spirit lock spatial zone and rare phase that would transform in an environment with a pure spirit chi concentration were Lin Yuan's trump cards and capital to build his faction. Since Lin Yuan had the idea of building a faction, he also had the method and idea to accumulate resources. What Lin Yuan had to do was to accumulate resources bit by bit. Then, he would plan how to establish his faction's embryonic form. All of this could not be done overnight, so Lin Yuan was not in a hurry. He planned to first consolidate the foundation of the faction's embryonic form. After all, the floating island whale had not hatched yet, and before it became a fantasy breed, it could not become a giant beast that could support a city on its back. When Lin Yuan returned to the mansion, he saw Wen Yu carefully folding his clothes one by one. She placed the clothes he needed to go out on adventures in a button-shaped diamond face storage box that was very similar to his source-type source sand. Hu Quan, on the other hand, was carving a completely jade-textured peach wood with a gleaming knife. The completely jade-textured peach wood showed a kind of agate-like luster, and Hu Quan quickly carved a somewhat decaying peach tree. The branches of this decaying peach tree strangely had a kind of dragon-like beauty. On the ground at the base of the sculpture, some peach branches scattered from the decaying peach tree gave off a lush feeling that peaches could grow immediately. Lin Yuan could not help but sigh. Mercury's essence flows upstream in the sky, and the spring breeze turns into a blue dragon's head. Occasionally, its roots and leaves touch the soil, scattering into the world of flowers. When Hu Quan heard Lin Yuan's words, the carving knife in his hand immediately sped up and carved Lin Yuan's poem on the base of the peach wood sculpture. Lin Yuan, after working here for a few days, the materials used for carving are much better than what I usually see in a year. Lin Yuan replied. Uncle Hu, if you're not afraid of hard work, I have a lot of good materials for carving. You can choose all kinds of jade-textured wood. Hu Quan's eyes immediately lit up. This kind of brightness was even brighter than the eyes of a weasel looking at an old hen. How can this be considered tiring? What else could be more enjoyable than this? Wen Yu looked up at Hu Quan and couldn't help showing an expression of admiration. Wen Yu felt that Hu Quan was really an excellent tool who worked tirelessly in the midst of happiness. Wen Yu handed the amber button-shaped diamond face storage box to Lin Yuan and said, "That's right. Young master, I've prepared all the resources you'll need for tomorrow's training in this diamond face storage box. Although young master is only going to train for a few months, I've prepared 3 years' worth of clothing, food, fruits, and water." Baidu read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Bookhouse for free. Chapter 256. Lin Yuan took the amber button-shaped diamond face storage box and checked it. He found that there were all kinds of materials placed in different categories in this amber button-shaped diamond face storage box. Every kind of material was carefully placed in a fixed position in the button-shaped diamond face storage box. Even the food for each meal was carefully packed. Obviously, this arrangement had taken her a lot of effort. This amber button-shaped diamond face storage box had been specially customized by Lin Yuan at Ostrich Logistics. It had taken Lin Yuan half a month to get this amber button-shaped diamond face storage box. This amber button-shaped diamond face storage box was different from Lin Yuan's leaf-shaped and beetle-shaped diamond face storage boxes. The leaf-shaped and beetle-shaped diamond face storage boxes were both brooch-shaped, but this button-shaped diamond face storage box looked like a cufflink. Lin Yuan wore this amber button-shaped diamond face storage box on his cufflink. Then, he let the source-type source sand stick to the amber button-shaped face storage box on his cufflink. This way, when Lin Yuan used the source sand in the future, no one would notice that the amber button-shaped object on his cufflink had disappeared for no reason. This was also a means for Lin Yuan to hide his source-type source sand. Hu Quan came up at that moment and chuckled. Lin Yuan, you just said that there are all kinds of completely jade-textured wood. I wonder if you still take it seriously? Lin Yuan looked at Hu Quan's eager expression and knew that if he did not give these completely jade-textured materials to Hu Quan today, he would probably not be able to sleep well tonight. It just so happened that Lin Yuan was going to set off for training tomorrow morning and would not be in the mansion during this time. Lin Yuan simply took out the remaining completely jade-textured wood in his spirit lock spatial zone. Hu Quan looked at the completely jade-textured wood that emitted all kinds of colors and could not help but stare with his eyes about to pop out of their sockets. Hu Quan was so happy that he screamed like a child. Uncle Hu, see which parts of the manor and house need to be decorated with these completely jade-textured wood. You can decide on the design yourself. When I come back from my training, I'll give you a new batch of completely jade-textured wood. Lin Yuan intended to keep the completely jade-textured wood for his own use in his mansion. If he were to trade with other affluent families, he would only need to take out an entire piece of jade-textured wood. Those wealthy families generally worshipped high-star spirit craftsmen. For the completely jade-textured wood, which was like gold and jade, only by designing it into the shape that the owner wanted could it be considered to bring out the best in each other. He no longer had any completely jade-textured wood on hand. Since he wanted to integrate the space in the Spirit Lock spatial zone, the best use of the space in the Spirit Lock spatial zone was to divide it reasonably. Not only did he have to use flat space, but he also had to use high space. Therefore, Lin Yuan asked Hu Quan to pull a few pieces of very large wudong wood and build 2 huge shelves for himself. Lin Yuan had designed these wudong wood shelves to be very wide and thick, so he could put the whole wooden board in them one by one. When Hu Quan was making these huge shelves of wudong wood for Lin Yuan, he was still muttering in his heart. Lin Yuan had completely jade-textured wood, but he was now using ordinary wudong wood that could be bought for tens of thousands of Federation dollars to make a shelf. What was the use of making the shelf so big? Hu Quan could not help but sigh. I really can't understand the world of the rich. However, as a Class 4 spirit craftsman, Hu Quan had directly sculpted this huge shelf when he was creating it. Each wudong wood was engraved with phoenix feathers, with a phoenix spreading its wings and wanting to fly perched on them. The wudong wood had always been known as the habitat of the phoenix, a fictional creature recorded in ancient books and records. The phoenix cries, on the high hill. The wudong tree grows, on the morning sun. It was a kind of tree that symbolized light. Even though the shelf was made of ordinary wudong wood, it was immediately made into an exquisite object by Hu Quan. With a wave of his hand, Lin Yuan stored these 2 huge shelves into the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Before the Spirit Chi awakening, the phoenix only existed in ancient books and records, and it was considered a fictional creature. However, after the Spirit Chi awakening, some powerful avian phase had evolved with similarities to the legendary phoenix. Take Chime for example. If Lin Yuan had seen Chime use the radiant body in his previous life, he would probably have recognized Chime as a phoenix when it used the radiant body. Since Lin Yuan was going out to train tomorrow, he returned to his room early in the morning. However, he was not in a hurry to sleep. Instead, he planned to buy a batch of supplies on Star Web tonight. At the same time, he would also evolve and mutate the 4 elemental shellfish that were living very freely under the high spirit chi concentration in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan first entered his Spirit Lock spatial zone and placed these 2 large shelves made of wudong wood at the edge of the Spirit Lock spatial zone. These 2 large shelves occupied 1/3 of the Spirit Lock spatial zone's 80 square meter area. After tidying up the Spirit Lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan sorted out many places that he had not used before. Then, he transferred all the radiance dollars in the beetle-shaped diamond face storage box into his amber button-shaped diamond face storage box. The leaf-shaped diamond face storage box was still filled with all kinds of dimensional lifeforms' flesh that stretched as far as the eye could see. Now, Lin Yuan's beetle-shaped diamond face storage box was considered empty. Lin Yuan planned to use this beetle-shaped diamond face storage box as a place to store all the supplies he needed in the Spirit Lock spatial zone in the future. Since Lin Yuan wanted to fully utilize the Spirit Lock spatial zone, the consumption of energy ores was much higher than before. The floating island whale and the elemental shellfish consumed a lot of pure spiritual power. Morbius spirit chi condensation also consumed a lot of spirit chi when it condensed spirit chi crystals. In addition, Lin Yuan was also preparing to nurture those phases that would mutate under the high spirit chi concentration, so the consumption of energy ores would increase exponentially. Previously, Lin Yuan's energy ore reserves were already far from reaching the standard. Therefore, Lin Yuan planned to fill this beetle-shaped diamond face storage box to the brim with energy ores. At the same time, Lin Yuan decided to increase the quality of energy ores he purchased in the future. He would no longer purchase low-grade energy ores but mid-grade energy ores. He would read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. Chapter 257. Lin Yuan still had to store a large batch of rare wood. In the future, as long as the wood in the Spirit Lock spatial zone was completely jade textured, Lin Yuan could take them out and place them in this beetle-shaped diamond face storage box. Then, he would place a new batch of ordinary wood on the parasol wood shelf. This way, there would not be any waste in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan already had plans for those precious phases that would transform in an environment with a high concentration of spirit chi. The purchase with no loss store had always only sold silver usnias and elite spirit siphon goldfish on sale. Now, he could add another type for buyers to choose from. Lin Yuan believed that when these phases, which could only transform in a high concentration of spirit chi, appeared in his purchase with no loss store. At that time, people would think of all sorts of ways to snatch them. However, Lin Yuan did not intend to use radiance dollars to trade for such phases. Instead, he planned to exchange for some spiritual ingredients that rarely appeared in the rare life form pavilion. For example, the day and night spirit silver. Although such spiritual ingredients were also sold in the rare life form pavilion, it was not so easy to purchase them. Otherwise, he would not have thought of using any kind of bronze/epic phase to post a trade message in his purchase with no loss store at that time. Lin Yuan went on Star Web and ordered a huge batch of mid-grade energy ores under Zhou Jiasen's dumbfounded expression. Lin Yuan first mailed his beetle-shaped diamond face storage box to Zhou Jiasen through Ostrich Logistics. Then, Zhou Jiasen would fill the beetle-shaped diamond face storage box and mail it to Lin Yuan through Ostrich Logistics. Otherwise, it would not be so easy to transport such a large batch of energy ores through Ostrich Logistics. Then, Lin Yuan spent nearly 100 radiance dollars in a Star Web wood store to purchase a large batch of precious wood. The wood that Lin Yuan had prepared previously was not considered very expensive. Apart from red sandalwood, which was considered precious, the other wood could only be considered relatively ordinary. The more precious the wood, the higher the price of the jade-textured wood. Therefore, Lin Yuan only chose 5 types of precious wood in the Star Web Wood store. Among them were yellow rosewood, chicken wing wood, ebony, green elm, and golden nanmu. These 5 types of completely jade-textured wood were currently the most expensive on the market. Since he wanted to integrate the resources, he naturally had to choose the completely jade-textured wood that was relatively expensive in the market to nurture. Of course, Lin Yuan had also purchased a few large pieces of high-class agarwood. After these agarwood trees were completely jade-textured, he planned to use them as consumables in his mansion. Lin Yuan chose a fei that was very useful to creation masters when there was a high concentration of spirit qi that would undergo a metamorphosis. This fei was a kind of succulent plant, and the lowest grade of this succulent plant was at bronze. This kind of spirit item was called silk pearls. The silk pearls were the most unpopular among the bronze meaty feis. The bronze silk bead might be a healing type fei, but its healing ability was too special. The string of pearls would use the dew produced by the plant to drip on the target's wounds to heal injuries. Although the ability looked similar to other healing type feis, the string of pearls could heal the target's wounds. Although the ability looked similar to other healing type feis, when the string of pearls juice dripped on the wounds, it would be accompanied by unbearable pain. Therefore, even if healing type spirit qi professionals were in short supply, if they only contracted a healing type fei like the string of pearls, they would immediately become the most unpopular existence among all healing type spirit qi professionals. Many teams would rather wait for other healing type spirit qi professionals or bring along a support type spirit qi professional than to endure the bone-deep pain after being injured. However, the bronze succulent plant, the string of pearls, would transform into a new kind of fei, the flower brocade pearl, in a high-purity spirit qi environment. The flower brocade pearl would still produce dew, but it could be placed in the spirit fluid made from multiple spiritual ingredients, increasing the speed of the spiritual ingredients fusion. Of course, this speed increase would not improve the creation master's standard. However, it could shorten the time it took for the creation master to concoct the spirit fluid. When concocting the spirit fluid, a creation master had to be highly focused, and a slight distraction would cause the spirit fluid concoction to fail. To a certain extent, the flower brocade pearl could shorten the time it took for the creation master to concoct the spirit fluid. It was the same as slightly reducing the failure rate. It was not easy for a creation master to successfully concoct a spirit fluid, and it would often require a lot of effort. In fact, they would need to fail several times and waste a lot of spiritual ingredients before they could succeed once. Therefore, any creation master that laid eyes on the flower brocade pearls would do everything they could to purchase them. If there was anyone in this world who had the easiest money to earn, it would definitely be the wealthy creation masters. Lin Yuan had chosen the string of pearls because he wanted it to transform into the flower brocade pearl under the high-purity spirit qi concentration. One of the reasons was that the flower brocade pearl's appearance would increase the success rate of creation masters concocting spirit fluids. It would also allow more spirit qi professionals to have the opportunity to heal feis and recover their damaged roots. The Radiance Federation's creation master resources were extremely scarce. Even if a creation master's success rate in concocting the spirit fluid was slightly increased, they would be able to spare more time to change the fates of spirit qi professionals with damaged roots and earn more radiance dollars. At the same time, it would also allow Lin Yuan to harvest more creation masters' leaks. Another reason was that although the string of pearls was a bronze fei, they were very small. It was because of this reason that Lin Yuan could increase the number of string of pearls in the limited space in the spirit lock spatial zone. The bronze string of pearls were very cheap, and many Star Web stores had chosen to carry out promotions for the bronze succulent plant string of pearls. Lin Yuan had bought 1,000 bronze string of pearls and only spent 800 radiance dollars. Lin Yuan couldn't help but lament that the bronze string of pearls were simply too cheap. However, when the bronze string of pearls transformed into flower brocade pearls under the high concentration spirit chi concentration, the price would be hard to estimate. Fays like the flower brocade pearls were simply too rare and rarely appeared. Most of them were exchanged with other items, so there was no specific price to refer to. After all, creation masters would never look at the price when buying things. If they wanted to, they could just increase the price. Who asked creation masters to be rich and capricious? Baidu was the first to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Claw Book House for free. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.